What is up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Oh my goodness, my hoodie. Let me fix that. There we go. How are you guys doing today? Welcome in, man. I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. And welcome to another episode of the Black Line Brief. And I'm your host, Matthew McKim. And we're going to get into it today. It's interesting. Yeah. Before we get started on that, let me do a little housekeeping. While you guys come in and get settled, please do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe. It is how you can support this channel, and I appreciate every single one of you that do so. And let's see. All right. I should move this. Don't want to knock that over. All right. I paid for the membership to be able to see this episode, and I'll be sharing it with you guys. And the whole 3 hours is worth watching. However, we can't do that here. There's no way I could play it. We'd be here forever because I can't play it uninterrupted, and interrupting it every so often in a full 3 hour, show would mean we'd be here for like 6 hours, and that's crazy. However, I put it to the point where is the main things that like I want to listen to. And then if we have time left over, we can go back and listen to other parts of it, or we could do it on another episode, maybe tomorrow, if we like it. Megyn Kelly, for me, comes across a couple times in this episode with Shawn Ryan as part of the problem in a couple different areas. And Shawn shows that he could push back on things. Wish he could have pushed back with Brian Harple. He does it with Megyn. I don't know. Maybe he learned his lesson. And this is one of the things with Charlie that I don't understand. I don't know if he knew or if, look, when you're looking at the political system as it is, and you realize that we are in a two-party system, other parties exist, but they never end up making any sort of real, rush to the executive branch, to the presidency. I mean, I think in their hearts they do, but I mean, it always ends up coming down to one Democrat and one Republican. And when understanding that system, like Charlie would definitely have understood it even better than me, you end up having to pick the best out of what's available, which means, I wish enough people could vote libertarian or independent or for a person that actually would represent us. But if you do that, your vote ends up not, it's sad to say, it's a pessimistic view and like a fatalist view. But when you vote for someone that doesn't actually have a chance at making it into office, it's almost like you're throwing a vote away. And I get that may not be popular. And I know that if enough of us voted for someone like back in like a Ron Paul, then he would have had a real legitimate chance. But so many don't. And so then you're like, okay, if I vote for someone like that, it gives the opposition a better chance at winning. Okay. And by the way, this is kind of a thought experiment as to why Charlie would have, if Charlie knew more about Trump and JD than all of us, or even just about JD, right? Because he was supposedly a lot closer with JD than the rest, right? And he was, endorsing him for 28 and thought JD was the future. But I've done enough on my own, and I'll show I'll point you guys to another, show that's done even more research into JD Vance. If you guys know who Peter Thiel is, all right, Palantir, if you've seen his interview where he was asked, do you think humanity should endure? Yeah, kind of, not really. I mean, he's an elitist with an elitist view, not only with ties to AI and Silicon Valley and like pushing this version of Christianity that's not Christian, wanting to usher in, the second coming of Christ or the Antichrist, depending on who you look and listen to. So that's who backed JD, is Peter Thiel and Palantir. And I'll point you guys to this other show that's done an even deeper dive into JD Vance and the Yale class that him and Vivek and a lot of other people that we like or liked. And I still like Vivek, but having watched this episode and this gentleman that's done his research, it's, Yale, Skull and Bones, even if you're not part of that secret society, there still is. And, once a secret society is outed, you got to know that there's other ones that have been either rebranded, renamed, or created in its stead that we don't know about yet. Much like when the CIA was finally admitted, like the NSA was around for generations before anyone knew it existed. Likewise with, the National Reconnaissance Agency, but then we have an underwater National Reconnaissance Agency that most people don't know about. And they do a lot of detecting of underwater UFOs that a lot of people don't know about. So there's a lot out there that people may not know about. And just because Vivek or JD weren't knowingly in Skull and Bones, but they were at Yale, and there's this group of people that have all been hoisted to the top of the Republican Party, that they're a group. And it seems that JD, and so I bring up JD because Megyn's asked about like a lot about the Trump presidency and JD Vance and her take on why JD Vance has stayed silent and what he should do. I don't agree with at all. And that's what just makes me, this is one of the things about Charlie that I was just like, because it was already coming out about JD during the run up to the election and early in the presidency, that JD had been propped up by Palantir and by Peter Thiel. He's no better, than like a Jeff Bezos and, what is it? Sam Altman-Fried or what's the other guy? No, not Sam Altman-Fried. Is it Harris? The other AI developer who's he had a developer. Well, he is like the owner, one of the owners, right? But he had one of the main guys that was writing code for the AI was unalived, and they supposedly it was self-unalivement, but it really wasn't. And Tucker did an interview with both of them, right? With the mom of the surviving, of the gentleman that was unalived, and then of Harris. I think it's Sam Harris or something like that. And question him on it. These people are not good people is what I'm saying, right? Like they don't have the same perspective on humanity, on us, on America, and what they want to happen and what we want to happen are in stark contradiction with one another. And so it does make me wonder what Charlie saw in JD, or like I was saying earlier, was it like, well, if we don't vote for, Trump and JD, then, what do we get? We get freaking Harris and whatever, and Waltz. Or in 28, you end up having to vote for people that you don't really like and believe in just because they are your party's nominee. And it's because it's like our team versus their team, but both were like, we don't like any of them. And how many times has that been the case, right? As long as I can remember, you look at the left and the right and you're like, I don't really like either of these. And you end up picking the lesser of two evils from your personal perspective and, your worldview. And so, but I agree with Shawn Ryan's take on it. And so we're going to get into it. And there's going to be a lot here. And if we want more, we can look at more. I also have other videos pulled up that are interesting. And if we don't get to those today, then we can get to them tomorrow. All right. All right. Let's get into it.
So there's a floor built in.
Oh, as I play it, because I've never played from my Patreon before, can you guys just let me know that you can hear her and Shawn Ryan when I hit play, that you guys can hear their audio?
That's comforting, especially if you have to pay a mortgage and maybe your spouse doesn't work. Like, I get it. I totally get it.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's over. I mean, they might just come over and get propped up. I mean, you saw the Golden Globe. You got nominated for a Golden Globe, right?
Well, yes, but then we said take our name off the list.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we weren't going to pay money to go get considered by those Hollywood libtards.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Ben Shapiro spent millions to buy an ad of his face in Times Square so that he could win.
He spent millions.
We went different ways.
Worked out for him, didn't it?
I'm assuming millions. How much does it cost to put your face on the entire side of an enormous high-rise building, which is what he did to convince the Hollywood Golden Globe crowd to vote for his show?
And I didn't know that, right? Like, I didn't know that Joe Rogan's podcast didn't win an award. I didn't even know that there was an award for best podcast. But like, honestly, whether you like Joe Rogan and agree with him or not, you'd have to admit that at the time, he had the biggest podcast in the world and probably should have won.
Which, by the way, was never going to happen anyway. They weren't going to vote for a conservative podcast. I don't mean to pick on Ben. I'm just in a fight with him right now. But anyway, yeah, no, we withdrew our names from consideration.
I thought it was hilarious. They brought all these big podcasters in along with a bunch of Hollywood people, and then they just rewarded themselves. It was fucking hilarious.
I know.
And everybody called him on it. It was like, how the fuck does Joe Rogan not get the Golden Globe for the first year they do podcast? And who did they give it to?
Wasn't it Amy Poehler?
Yeah.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. She's got the best podcast.
Right.
It's better than Rogan's.
This is fucking bullshit.
I know.
It's hilarious.
And you know what I found out? Do you know that if you're like nominated, you're expected to go out there, and I guarantee you Amy Poehler did this, and meet with these little Golden Globe committees and, basically pull the dress up for them. Like, hey, how about me? Pick me. How absurd. Can you imagine humiliating yourself like that?
No.
So you could get one of their stupid statues and sit undoubtedly back in the nosebleeds at their party where they're like, ew, it's the podcaster. Disgusting people. Who would do that to themselves?
Oh, shit. I thought it was awesome. But, oh, wow.
No.
Wow.
I grew up in the Roger.
All right. I got to skip to the part. I thought I timestamped it to the right spot. Hold on. 217.
Flabbergasted. He and I.
You had no idea that was going to happen?
We were good friends.
Okay.
Were you,
yes.
you were.
Okay. So it was right there. So it's actually at 217. Hold on. Right at 217. All right. 216:41.
I thought it was awesome. But, oh, wow.
No.
Wow.
I grew up in the Roger Ailes era at Fox, where we did not believe in awards. He would not even. No one at Fox who spent their career at Fox, none of them has an Emmy. The only people at Fox who has an Emmy got it while they were working for a different channel, because he did not believe in bending the knee to get the pat on the head from these organizations who hate us. And I totally agree with him.
That's cool. I like hearing that. How are you dealing with all these people coming after you?
All right. So this is the main part. And from here, this is everything that I want us to hear for this part of the show. Talks about Ben, talks about Candace a little bit. She kind of ducks the question on Charlie. But we'll get into it as we get along.
You got Trump saying you're low IQ. I got the tweet here, but I'm not.
And nut job too.
It's a book.
Yeah. Low IQ nut job.
Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro. How did all this happen?
Well, it's pretty obvious, but it's because of Israel. It's over Israel and now Iran. Ben Shapiro turned on me at the Turning Point event in December.
I saw that.
And I was stunned. I was completely flabbergasted. He and I
You had no idea that was going to happen.
We were good friends.
Were you were there, right? You came up right
I was there. I
after.
wasn't there that night. I arrived the next day. But yeah,
So for those of you that don't remember, when she had been on the show, let's even see if we could even, that part is so interesting where she tries to, where he literally wants Megyn to condemn Candace Owens. Let's see. Hold on one second. Where is it where she actually, what was she wearing that night? Ben Shapiro debate Tucker Carlson, 6 months ago. Okay, yeah, here it is. Yeah, cool.
That embraces its own fringes will end up in the same position as the left wing that has
Okay,
embraced
so
its
that's
fringes.
why I want to get into it. Embraces.
Yes.
So now, having spoken to Tucker, I actually see that interview very differently. And I did listen to the interview, and I knew what Nick Fuentes was. And I think he did show himself to be who he is. It wasn't his most vile stuff, but you got the feel for what this guy was. But I really think Tucker was talking to him, Ben, to put like a bumper on this guy. Because what Tucker was urging him the whole time was to understand that collective punishment for any one group of people is wrong. It's deeply immoral and it's anti-Christian, which this guy is supposed to be, and reminding him of how deeply immoral that is, that you should not be looking at a group of people, whomever it is. The left does it to everyone, whites mostly.
But she's speaking to a brick wall because Ben believes in collective punishment. He is a proponent of collective punishment, and he thinks all those in Palestine should just be eradicated and eliminated, whether that be the elderly, the women, the children, because they can be future, members of Hamas or future terrorists that would come, to roost in Philly. So, I mean, I don't know why she even thinks he's going to hear her out on this.
But like this collective shame, white men in particular. And there's a group of people like Nick Fuentes that does it to groups of Jews. And he was making the case throughout the whole interview in the way that Tucker does. He's not like you or me. He's not like pointed and cross-examining.
That is not true.
And was making...
That is fundamentally untrue.
No.
Senator Ted Cruz whether that is true.
He gave it to Ted Cruz because Ted Cruz is a politician.
That's, yeah. Well, hold up. So only politicians get cross-examined?
You don't, well, look,
Truly?
It depends on the person.
Tucker would never cross-examine a person who is not a politician. That's his rule?
Tucker has excoriated public figures who purport to speak for us and represent us for many years. Nick Fuentes is a podcaster civilian.
Okay, I just have a question. We all in our industry are constantly excoriating people who are in our industry. It happens all the time, every single day.
Okay.
Again,
but we're talking about his interviews.
We can agree to disagree on your interpretation of what Tucker was doing there. I think everybody should watch and determine for themselves what Tucker was doing in that interview. And I urge you to watch it back to back with the Ted Cruz interview to determine whether
his voice is so excruciating. I got to get to the part where he tries to call her out for Candace. Let's see. Hold on.
Traveling to Russia to sniff the bread and explain why the Russian regime is a communist dictator. Everyone in his country is eating
the way that you want to do it.
Oh, here's
what he said.
This isn't the full clip. Gosh darn it. All right, that's my fault. I'll do this and then I'll find the actual clip. And I hope they didn't scrub it from the internet.
I was on my way. And we were good friends, Shawn. It's not like we had dinner together all the time, but we were always very friendly. I helped make him a household name on the prime time at Fox News, put him on regularly, helped make him a star. When I got into podcasting, he really helped me too. He invited me out to the Daily Wire headquarters in California and really encouraged me to get off the couch and go back into it, and offered me a job at the Daily Wire, which of course I didn't want to do. But I appreciated that he was thinking about me. And then we helped each other on our podcast. I'd have him on. I'd say yes to his show whenever he needed me. I'd promote his people. He'd ask me to put people on my show who are from the Daily Wire to help build their podcast. I always said yes. And then even when Charlie died, one of the first things I said, I was just looking back at this because, well, we're working on a project, but I saw this tape of myself after Charlie died, and I was on the air announcing it. And one of the first people I mentioned was poor Ben, who I knew was living his life surrounded by 5 or 6 armed guards. I'm like, but this has to stop. This demonization, this otherizing of people who don't share our political viewpoints. And I read Ben's tweet about Charlie, empathetically and sympathetically, and, just I had nothing but love for Ben. And then I did my tour in the fall where I had Tucker Carlson one night and Ben the next night. And I gave Ben the nicest intro a person could possibly give him. I
Yep.
mean, it was a conscious effort to build him up because people were already turning on Ben because the Israel war had gone on so long in Gaza. There was a lot of blowback. Ben is, ardently 100% pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And I didn't like seeing him twist in the wind. I felt bad for him. And I really wanted to sort of vouch for him with my audience to say, this is a good person,
And I get it. Like, just because just because she's like friends with, Tucker or friends with Charlie Kirk or Candace or whatever, it doesn't mean like she has to have the same negative view of like Ben or someone else that they might have bad relationships with. But like, as I would have assumed though, like as Ben started doing some of the things that he did, like about Candace or about Tucker, but I guess it really depends on, was she really close with any of them? Or like she said, she was never eating dinner and hanging out with Ben, but they were always friendly with one another. And we have to keep that in mind with so many of these personalities, that are any of them ever actually spending a great deal of time with one another outside of when they are on each other's shows or doing, Amfest or other speaking engagements together. Maybe if they say they are, maybe, right? Like we know, like Candace and Brandon Tatum supposedly hang out a lot outside of work, right? I think that Charlie spent more time with Tucker than others, or, at least in the last year. I know that there was a falling out years and years ago with Candace, but they had stayed close together throughout the years, whether that be, through talking on the phone or when they would see each other in person. But it's hard for me to know at what level can I take Megyn when for us, when we look at Ben and we see like who he is, it's so easy for us to just discern and determine like, he's not a good person. And I don't know that he wants what's best for America, not the America that we believe in. And for her to not see that until it was like the writing was on the wall or was like in her face, it's like, Megyn, I don't know, like what you're seeing and what we're seeing are totally different.
Let me tell you some wonderful things about Ben in the intro before he came out. But publicly, we aired that on my show. And he was in an irascible mood that night. We had a contentious back and forth on the stage, but it was fine. I had no problem with it. And he kind of stormed out of there that night. And I thought, are we not good? And why are we not good? And I think in that night, I thought it could be because of Tucker, because I'm still friends with Tucker, and those two are openly warring. And I was trying to get them not to. I love Tucker like a brother. And I've known him a lot longer than Ben, but I care about Ben too. And I tried very much behind the scenes to get them both to come together and try, for the sake of the conservative movement and the country, to like disagree, but not hate each other, which was a fool's errand, but it was undertaken in earnest for whatever it's worth. And instead it seemed to turn Ben on me, not Tucker. He had no problem. He wasn't into it, like he wasn't wanting to be close to Ben, but in no way did it make him feel angry toward me. It's only one side asking me to defriend the other side.
Yeah.
And, but Ben and I had a text exchange after that. And he said in the text, something to the effect of, I agree that our friendship is more important than what other friendships we have in our lives. And that's what we should nurture and, prioritize. Because he'd been in my ear about Tucker prior to that. And I was like, I totally get where you're coming from, but I love him and I disagree with you. And I do listen to his show and I think you're misinterpreting where he's coming from. And he rejected that out of hand. And we had already agreed to disagree on Tucker, which is fine, right? That's friends do that. Like, I get it. He's in a very sensitive place. He's got family in Israel and I think a home in Israel and, obviously,
Yeah.
very, very committed to Israel. And the next thing I knew, Shawn, he was standing on the stage at Turning Point, ripping me as a coward.
Mm-hmm.
A coward.
Yep.
Allegedly because I wouldn't call out Candace Owens
Yes.
and what she was saying about Erica Kirk. But that's not what it was about. It was about my not ending my friendship with Tucker, which is the thing that he had been pushing me on for weeks.
I don't know about that. Do you guys agree with that? I mean, that's her take on it. That's her take. I don't, that's, yes, okay, there was that component that was happening at the time. But the real issue on the stage that night, which I did find the clip and we'll look at it in a second, like he was pushing and pushing and pushing. Who do you think Benji hates more? Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, who got it all over on him, right? The employee, the slave, when he looks at her, how dare you think you can be free in my organization and do whatever you want? How dare you talk bad about my people? Who do you think you are? And then he goes on this campaign to like shame her. And then she leaves and he's never let it go. And he's pursuing her to the end to try to ruin her. That's what I think. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it's really about the Tucker relationship? I think it had more to do with the Erica Kirk, Candace Owens thing, right? Let's see. Let's hop here because I do have it pulled up, but I got to find. The only way I'm going to be able to find the actual clip is if we do it together, because I can't let the audio play on the other while I listen to the audio on this one. So let's see. Wait, what? Hold on.
I wish that the country would go back to normal, but it seems like it may be a while.
Let's see.
Video, please forgive me, of one of my first introductions to this guy, Nick Fuentes, and what he was.
That's
Because I'm a perfect representative here, but because you've talked about Zoran Mamdani a lot.
No.
A lot of us have. What I say is when
Wait,
Tucker
let me just say
Carlson
this,
finds himself in complete alignment with Zoran Mamdani,
Hold on.
I agree.
This is all before Tucker Carlson, and he was platformed. I hate that verb, but he was platformed by Patrick Bet David.
Is because that is my info, and everyone can make their own decision as to whether they think that I am right or whether I am wrong, and where they choose to draw the line with regard to the conservative movement. The question for me is always whether somebody's statements are forwarding moral values that I think are worthwhile. I did not get into this business for the money or for the clicks. You didn't either.
Neither did he.
What was that?
Neither did he.
I mean, he may not have. That's fine.
Oh,
I
come
certainly
on.
did not. I'm only going to speak for myself. And what that means for me is that if I see somebody breach basic moral values,
All right.
Fuentes a hard time, right? He didn't bring.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, like a glossy,
You
like
have kids who do the brain rot talk.
of influence, and you don't speak out when it's appropriate, you also really have no influence. And so for me, the question becomes, when is it important to speak out? And Megyn, you and I have been talking behind the scenes about many of these same issues for a very long time. And so you know that you've known me for a very long time. I'm pretty good at conflict, but I don't like conflict. I really don't.
You've been trying to put this one behind you guys for a long time.
A very, very long time, consistently, for a very long time.
Okay.
In fact, for 2 years, I mean, I can read older text messages after that initial blow up where Tucker was suggesting I have dual loyalty and all of this.
Where is the part about?
I know, but there are many people.
And you're
who
urging
are
me
like,
not to. And I'm saying that that is not a move that I can make because Tucker has already closed the door to the idea that we are. I have a dog, I have an extended family, and I have
he
friends
doesn't want to be
outside
friends
of
with you
this.
either, Ben. It's about
Yes, but what you're
uniting the right.
Okay, maybe it's not this episode. Holy smokes. I'm going to have to, I swear it was the same episode, but I'll have to find it. If one of you guys know which one that is, and you could send it to me in my email. Sorry to put you through Benji not talking about the part we wanted to hear. My apologies. Please don't hate me.
And I wouldn't do. And he, like many of his supporters, have been using the Candace Erica feud against me ever since. At the time, I wasn't saying anything about whatever is going on between the two of them because I was working behind the scenes to help them resolve it. I actually had gotten to know Candace a little, and I knew Erica pretty well. And Candace was very, very focused on Turning Point, as she remains, including Erica. And Erica asked me if I would help her broker a peace between the two of them. And I said yes. So I was trying to do that at Erica's request. And people like Ben didn't quite understand, nor did they give a shit. You know, it's like they just assumed I was a coward, I guess. I was too weak to stand up. Meanwhile, it's like I've been asked by the person you purport to be protecting, Erica Kirk, to help her behind the scenes put this to rest. So go fuck yourself. And you're trying.
And I apologize for the language. There's quite a bit on this episode, and please forgive me. Okay, so I think I found a clip of it, and it is from that. It is from that interview. So I don't understand where it would have been. Let's see.
It's really none of my business. And
Why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business?
Megyn is on
Oh
tour.
my gosh, I'm not going to listen to you, Dave Rubin. Holy smokes. This is what I get for this. Wasn't the part that I wanted to really even.
You know, I think you and I differ on our angle with regard to, for example, Candace Owens. I think that what Candace Owens is doing right now is evil. It is evil what she is doing right now. Okay, and I say that again.
but what
Because
like
it is
I
important.
don't opine on whether it's evil or not, but my position is it's really none of my business. And
Why is it? But I have a question. Why is it none of your business? I mean, you
because
comment
I
on
don't-
these things for a living.
I'm not mother of the internet.
No, but if this were on the left and somebody were accusing Charlie Kirk of his wife having murdered him, I assume that you would be talking about it.
What
Is
a
that
lie.
what Candace is accusing Erica of?
No.
Yes.
No.
Of murdering her own husband?
No.
She's accusing TPUSA insiders and other members of the right wing, including Seth Dillon, of being involved
No.
in the murder of Charlie Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, I don't take in that content, which is an honest statement. I don't have time to watch
No,
Candace
I
show.
believe you. I believe you. But the point that I'm making is that when
what I
that
understand
friendship
Candace
should
to
not,
have
in
been
our
doing.
business, I think it's important. Listen,
Gosh, I can't even handle him. But for the point of tonight's video, and you guys know that that's not at all what Candace has ever said. She's never said that like Erica Kirk is the one that unalived Charlie Kirk, right? None of us, I don't know a single podcaster or public person or anyone that I've even talked to in private that believes that Erica is the one that like unalived Charlie. Like all we've ever said, and remember in the beginning, Candace like was hands off on Erica, right? Like she was hands off on Erica for a while. And then all of her appearances where she starts lying, and then people at TPUSA like Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff start lying. Mikey McCoy, Rob McCoy, Frank Turek start lying. More videos come out, right? The UVU video comes out, and we start to learn more about everything, and we start to see behavior on that day there, and we're like, what the heck why is Mikey just like putting the phone to his ear and like walking away? And Blake Neff, and then you look at people like Brian Harpole and what he maybe did, and Dan Flood doing the signal, and then you know Dan Flood gets a raise by Erica Kirk and a promotion. What? Their number one job was to keep Charlie alive, and they epically failed at that. They should never work in personal security again, executive security ever again. And in fact, in my opinion, like they should all be investigated for whatever part they played, right? And then you have Erica like lying, like, oh, Charlie was not afraid for his life. He never sent a text. I didn't know you meant like any message. I thought you meant text messages. He didn't have text messages. I have his phone, and I know, and he never said anything like that. And then she calls him on it, or Candace calls Erica Kirk on it, and she's like, oh, yeah. We have those like other messages. Yes, he did in Signal or in like a WhatsApp chat message. Okay. I mean, all we've ever said is that the behavior after assassination from everyone at TPUSA, including Erica Kirk, has been so suspicious and deeply concerning that it at least deserves a thorough investigation, especially because a widow, a partner, a surviving partner of a spouse who is unalived, right, is always a number one suspect, right? Did they have means, motive, and opportunity? Who gained the most from the assassination? Well, Erica Kirk has gained individually a great deal, the most. Personally, $18 to $20 million, and all of the funds that were raised and money that was donated to her personally. And then she got the life insurance policy because she stepped into the CEO role, and that's what the life insurance policy was going to be paid to, the next CEO of Turning Point, which in and of itself is very suspicious. All of the fraud. The list is so insane, right? Like we even named the list of lies last night. She didn't continue the Doge effort, right? She had Ben on at AmFest. She didn't have Candace on. Those were some of the last things that Charlie was thinking of doing. He was turning on Philly. She supports Philly. He was against the war. They support the war. All of that and more. And there's even more. Made it so all of us, but Candace Owens in particular, was like, this is weird. This is suspicious. And if the authorities, the federal government and local Utah State Police and the Utah County Attorney's Office aren't going to investigate her, then holy smokes, we will. We'll start digging with whatever means we have at our disposal, and we'll see what we can uncover, because it looks like they're all lying, and it looks like they're all lying together. And the only reason why you would lie about dates and times and all of these things, in my opinion, and I agree with her, would be if they're in on something to some degree. How can anyone that's an honest person not just say, yeah, they should at least be investigated. Maybe I don't agree with your conclusion, but if all the things you just listed are true, even if some of them are true, then yeah, I agree. A thorough investigation should be done on TPUSA, on their books, on their finances, on Erica Kirk, on the security team, Integrity Security Solutions, on Andrew Colvett, Tyler Boyer, Terrell Farnsworth. And then for Ben to get up there and try to make Megyn disavow and condemn Candace and then lie to her face when he knows that Megyn doesn't have all the facts, right? She's like, I don't watch all of her shows. I don't have the time to do that. I don't watch that stuff. Is that really what Candace is doing? I haven't heard anyone tell me that. I feel like I would have been told that Candace Owens is doing that. And he goes, yes, she is. Yes, she is. So you better disavow. You better, don't promote her. Say that you're going to stop being her friend, Megyn. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. And so I really don't agree with her take on the Shawn Ryan show, that she thinks that the real reason why Benji went max on her was because she wouldn't end her relationship with Tucker. No, the real issue is that he hates Candace Owens and wants to ruin her life and career fully. He doesn't believe that she should have a platform at all, and that she doesn't have a right to say anything at all, and that he'll do anything, even ruin his brand and his channel, if it means taking her down. That's my opinion, and I don't think I'm the only one that thinks that. Let's see. Thank you, always be true. BS was a never. Oh, Ben Shapiro. It just so happens Ben Shapiro's initials are BS. So I didn't even think about that till right now. Ben Shapiro is BS. Okay. Was a never Trumper. Pro C19 jab. Yep. Not a friend to CK. Nope. Megyn could highlight that maybe. Yeah, she should have. And why is she friends with folks 15 to 20 years younger than her anyway? Yeah, she is 55. My wife and I looked that up tonight. And And so when she says friends, and this is the big issue with people we don't know that are on here. When they say friends, right? Or when we assume friends, she said, like, I was never friends with Ben, right? Ben says that they've known each other a long time, but even Megyn says, like, she knew Tucker way longer. But she said she was friendly with Ben. I don't know that she was ever friends with Ben. And that's why when I answered personally, like, people that I've met on here, only through here and never met in person, how can you really say you're friends with people you've never met, never hung out with? They don't know my middle name. They don't know, like, my family, like anything about my past. Like, we're friendly. We're acquaintances on here. But to be friends, I guess my definition of a friend is different than just someone I've done a couple lives with, or someone she's done a couple shows with, or knows through this, podcasting space. Come on, if we were to be honest, that doesn't mean you're friends with someone. But anyway, all right, let me get to the bottom. Why isn't it going all the way down? There we go.
Trying to shame me for not coming out and saying Candace Owens is bad. It's just possible you don't know the whole story. Have some humility. And a real friend, before he stood up in front of millions to attack me as a coward.
Oh, you're right. She does say, even though earlier she said we were friendly, she is saying right there that if he was a real friend, he would have. And so that implies that at the time before all this went down, she considered him a friend. All right.
Might have shot me a text to say, hey, I'm about to attack you for not doing this thing. I know you to be a good person. Is there a reason you're not doing this thing I demand of you? And I would have told him. But from that night forward, he and his supporters turned this into, like, you will say the thing about Candace Owens or you're bad. You're bad and Tucker's bad. And it got lumped, and this whole thing became a proxy for the fight over Israel. Like, because they needed me to condemn Candace Owens, not because of what she said about Erica Kirk. To this day, it's not about that. It's because she is the chief Israel critic, arguably one of them in the country, arguably one of the chief in the country. And they need me to say she's bad. She's an anti-Semite. And now that they've made anything I say the stakes of the relationship, between me and these people, it's a forever no.
Mhm.
It's beyond a no. It's a forever no. That you want to get on my bad side, try to control me. It's just never going to happen. So I won't defriend Tucker. I'm not going to say what they want me to say about Candace.
Good.
Who I've gotten to know much better. And I'm still close with Erica. It is possible. I see what's happening between the two of them.
Listen to this.
I've said what I'm going to say about it. And I have asked Candace to stop. And I've said I don't approve of what Candace is saying about Erica, but it's never enough.
What? And I thought this was a weird moment for me, right? So she privately will ask Candace to stop, but she won't publicly ask Candace to stop. But now she'll publicly admit it. This is on the Patreon version. So they're going to cut certain parts out before they upload it to YouTube, which isn't going to happen till Monday. So who knows if this part will even end up in the YouTube version. But so she won't publicly ask Candace to stop. She'll refuse anything, but then now she'll admit that she's privately asked Candace to stop, that she's still really close with Erica Kirk. She doesn't agree with anything that Candace has done in regards to Erica Kirk and the Charlie Kirk investigation. Full stop. That's freaking weird. That's weird. And then take into context everything that she just did with the Hodge twins, everything she did earlier, where she's like, Tyler Robinson is guilty. She's positive of it. She did more to taint the jury pool than anyone at TPUSA, because anyone that stopped watching TPUSA wasn't listening to Erica Kirk and Ben Shapiro and, Graham Allen and Brandon Tatum. Anyone that was watching her and was on the fence, but trusts her, possibly could have been persuaded by her perspective on this whole thing. Saying she's, a Christian, a Catholic, but that she wants to be there. She would like to be there when they flip the switch on Tyler, to watch him be unalived. It's so hard. I want to believe that Megyn isn't all bad. And she has moments, right? And like she's pointing out and sticking up for some things that we agree need to be spoken about and standing up against, like Philly and all that, and the war in Iran, but then, and Jeffy Epi and all that. But on this thing, on TPUSA, Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's assassination, she is so far off. Yeah. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
You give him one little, no, you have to say it like this.
Mhm.
It has to be this far. You have to go this far about it. You've got to condemn it in these terms. Fuck you. No, I don't.
Man.
I can do what I want, and I can say what I want, and I can have relationships with whomever I want.
Yeah.
And when I went on the stage at Turning Point, I was asked about some of the questions that Candace was asking about Charlie's murder. And I made clear that I was fine with the questions she was asking about Israel.
So that's interesting. So she's okay with Candace asking questions about Philly and their possible involvement in the assassination, but not okay with Candace asking any honest, relevant questions about anyone else that may have been complicit, right? Or an accomplice with them. Because if Philly played roles in providing equipment, explosives, devices, they still would need people that had the means and opportunity to carry it out. And this definitely seems, in my opinion, to be a multi-government, multi-country, multi-organization assassination hit. It wasn't just all Philly. They would have had connections and gotten people within TPUSA to participate, whether they bribed them, threatened them, blackmailed them. They had to get their cooperation somehow. Those people are the people that had proximity to Charlie. So that bothered me.
And really, like, that added to it. So like the ardently pro-Israel crowd really turned on me. You must be an anti-Semite. You're bad. Some are like, you attacked Ben. Like, I didn't attack Ben. Ben attacked me. The next night, I said he doesn't have the power to take all my friends away from me, which is basically what he was arguing for, to excommunicate me from the conservative movement.
Hey, will you guys do me a favor real quick while we're here? We got 136 people here. Can you guys do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe? I really, really appreciate it. And thank you. It is how you can help support me. All right. In this channel.
That's not an attack on Ben. And since then, he's been coming for me ever since. Every once in a while, I'll say something about him, but he hasn't let up. And then, of course, Mark Levin is just a fucking lunatic.
Well, I mean, it didn't work out for Ben. They just did 2 rounds of layoffs at the Daily Wire. The views are in the fucking garbage can. If you could just pull the channel up, I can't remember how many subs they have.
I guess maybe I should have said in the beginning, for those of you that are watching that normally watch with anyone else present, sorry, there's some bad language in here that I can't like edit out, and so just be mindful. There's a lot of F-bombs in here.
But it's like 1.4 thousand views.
I mean, Ben's
It's
problem,
fucking
he's buying views right now. That's
We know
what's
that.
happening.
Yeah, we know.
I've only seen somebody completely destroy their entire legacy with their ego one other time.
That's not true. Trump is doing it right now. Trump is doing it.
And it's interesting to watch it.
And it wasn't his
Well,
support
Trump's
for
gonna be
Israel.
one too.
Because he did shed viewers. He's been shedding viewers. Like, we're all down viewers who are in news because it's a rough time in news, but it's fine. They go and they come in news. It's happened to me many times over the course of my career. But the reason Ben's been shedding them steadily by the tens of thousands for over a year. And I think the problem is, like, you can be pro-Israel and still have an audience, even in the conservative, wing is starting to turn on Israel. It's just, he's become so intolerant. He's become like a leftist scold and won't allow people who don't see it the way he sees it their say. And to have,
just to put something in context for all of you, let's this is what I don't understand about Megyn. So this person should be the person, like, let's just look at how she acts. And
visited the University of Mississippi. The event is part of the This is the Turning Point tour. This is your first major event.
It is.
As CEO of Turning Point USA. You're about to go on stage. What do you think Charlie would think about all?
I think she's wearing Charlie's necklace. It's underneath. It's that thicker, or not the one that he was wearing that day, but then, the real one.
He'd be blown away. He wanted,
that's
his
it.
vision for these events was stadiums.
Yep, that's the chain.
He always wanted them to be massive, and he loved them being outside, of course, but for night events, he always had this vision of packing.
That's weird. She had to put that out there because, remember, one of the things that they said was like, no, Charlie wanted it to be outside. He liked it outside. It had to be outside. It's like Charlie's fault. Charlie wouldn't have listened, even if we would have told him, hey, there's a real credible, articulable threat today and we should postpone. No, Charlie was just so brave. He wouldn't have allowed it. It's Charlie's fault why we went on that day. And now she's furthering that by like, oh, he just loved outdoor events. And he wanted them big. And, it's just setting the stage for like when all their focus is size and numbers and merch and sales. Well, that's what Charlie focused on. And if that's what Charlie did, then we're just carrying on Charlie's legacy. So don't get mad when you see us and we're saying and doing those same things. It's because that's how Charlie was. So you judge us. Well, you got to judge Charlie. I mean, this Jude.
Stadiums. He sent a picture to Tyler on our team of one of the largest university football stadiums and said, this is the goal.
It is rainy, it is cold, but students.
And so that's their justification for when they packed out the memorial, right? Where's the part that I never saw before? And I want to see, so this is her in the car. I want to see, I know we've seen this, but hold on.
Oh, there was a point where I couldn't even catch my breath, like before we went on stage, and they played that video, that intro video.
I had to
yeah.
Okay, so Mikey McCoy, Elizabeth McCoy, and they have to know that the video that they're talking about is, let me back up, that's that freaking AI created video that is fake. That's not Charlie. Like, let's listen to that real quick. Let's just put it into context. Let's see, it's when she's walking up. Let's see how far back it goes.
I was looking, I was watching this stream, I was like, are they still standing?
No,
I was back there. I was like, are they standing? I couldn't see.
No, they were all standing. I felt Charlie so much last night. Oh, there was a point where I couldn't even catch my breath, like before we went on stage, and they played that video, that intro video.
I had to
yeah.
Even watching from the TV, I was like, there's no way he's introducing her right now.
Yeah.
The next speaker is a very, very special speaker.
And I lost it. And I was trying so hard to just breathe. And the precious makeup girl, she was standing right next to me. I was death gripping her hand, and I just kept saying, Jesus. I didn't know what else to say.
She's death gripping her hand. She's like not even holding her hand. Her hand was just like hanging in there. But the part that I really wanted to see was, is that Mikey? Why isn't it letting me skip to where I want to skip?
And something that really stood out to me, she said, How are you guys treating the new students that arrive that maybe don't agree with everything that we stand for?
Have you guys ever seen this clip of her? I mean, this part of the, in her own words, I had never seen it. I'm just skipping through it because I haven't been able to pre-watch it. Where's the part where she shows? There it is. Hold on. Let me back up. Why isn't it letting me back up to there? What the heck? What the heck? Why isn't it letting me do it?
I was watching this stream. I was like,
Oh, here
are
we
they
go.
still standing?
No,
I was back there. I was like, are they standing? I couldn't see.
There.
that was so to hear my husband
Yeah.
say
She is my hero and the love of my life, Erica Kirk.
she's the love of my life.
Yeah.
Wait, had you never seen that video of him say that before? Like you're acting like you'd never heard that. Seems like it's probably AI created too. No, I'm just saying like we could probably go back and find that clip if they haven't scrubbed it from the internet. I don't know.
So when we first started dating,
What the heck, bro? All I wanted to do was pause that. Dude, Fox Nation is doing some sketchy stuff today.
that was so to hear my
Just want to
husband
see this.
She
say
is my hero
Hold on.
and the
Just
love
wanna
of
see
my
the
life,
next clip.
Erica Kirk.
she's the love of my life.
Yeah.
So when we first started dating,
Yeah. That's weird. That is weird, ladies and gentlemen. This is from the picture that I have. I got it from this, and then I uploaded it to take out everything out of the background so we could see it. So riddle me this, ladies and gentlemen. Riddle me this. If we all saw Charlie's necklace snap, break, pieces of the chain link were flying off in all different directions, it flies up over his head. They even admit it, right? How is she holding it fully put together right now? How? And I'm trying to see if I can see where the lobster claw is.
I asked him, I was like, why don't you wear a cross? I was like, why you say you're a Christian, but you don't wear a cross? He's like,
Where
I
is it?
don't know. I'm not a jewelry guy. And I was like,
I can't see it. But nonetheless, the necklace wouldn't have and he wasn't wearing those other pendants that day. We can't see him.
So for his first birthday present, I got him this cross. And then throughout time, I would always add different medals to it. And so he loved St. Michael. And so, yeah, every time he put this on, he just felt like it was his armor.
Yeah.
So strange. It's so strange, especially because this is still pretty recent after the assassination. He was supposedly wearing that, right? And for anyone with a brain, it points to some other mode of death than a 30-06 round to the neck. And she's able to hold it and look at it and talk about him. Like, how does it not immediately make her think about the assassination, right? Okay, like supposedly she's never seen the video. Okay, but someone's probably explained to her. And that's the other thing. Do you believe that, you guys? Do you really believe that? Please put a chat in. Do you believe that she's never seen the video? As hard as it might have been, I would want to know everything. How, why, because then that would help inform, like, did he have a chance to survive? Did the security do the right thing? If I were in Erica's shoes, right, I would have watched the entire UVU review video. And hold up, I just thought of this. She has access to the front video that none of us have seen that would have shown so much more. And she has access to the full video from above and behind Charlie. She could have a better informed perspective than any of us as to what happened to Charlie that day. And as hard as it would have been, I would have said, I would have gathered my closest friends with me. And I would have been like, we're going to freaking do this. Help me the frick out. We're going to watch this and we're going to find out what happened to my partner, right? For me, it would have been my wife. For her, it'd be Charlie. We're going to freaking solve this. And this is going to suck. We're going to sit here and we're going to watch each video. We're going to see how everyone behaves that are in Charlie's vicinity and circle. We're going to look at each person individually, and we are going to find out what happened to my wife. For her, we're going to find out what happened to Charlie. Those videos, all three, so the UVU, the front-facing corner camera, high def, like, holy smokes, that is the smoking gun. That camera to the front left of Charlie, which is the wound side, would have been able to pick up exactly when and how and where the blast came from, where it started, all of it. And then she would have had that video from behind to pick up whatever that front video missed. And she wouldn't have had to look at it through a computer screen, through a phone like we have, right? Like Candace, that's all Candace was given from Terrell. They'd have the original and they could slow it down. They could speed it up. They could pause it. They could zoom in. They could zoom out, like holy smokes. And then they could compare that to the UVU review video. And that means they would have had 3 different audios. Okay. All of the audio from the UVU. And I know there's multiple from the UVU. I think there's 3 just from the UVU. But I mean, when I'm saying 3, I mean like all of the audio from the UVU, all of the audio from the front facing, all of the audio from the back facing, or the back camera facing at Charlie. And they could have compared all the different frames, all the different, videos and audios. Literally, if John Bray was able to hone in on everything that he did just from the UVU review video, how much more could John determine if he's given the front one and the back one? And so for me, I don't understand that at all. I mean, the only conclusion I can get to, you guys think she was watching it live through Dan Flood's meta glasses? I don't know. We still don't know. I mean, like, it's been brought up that she was, maybe on the tarmac at the Orem airport watching and the transponder turned on, or the last known thing that I spoke to people about was that no, she was somewhere in a building with Stacey Sheridan in Arizona when she found out. And then she collapsed in the, collapsed running out or whatever. We don't know for a fact, like for an absolute certainty, where she was when all this went down. It's all still speculation at this point. It's our best guess. And because none of them will actually answer and tell us where any of them were at any given time, we don't know. We don't know. So, yeah. All right, let's continue. Not here. Let's continue over here.
Their voice, which can be treated as legitimate if potentially wrong. That's fine. We do that all the time in American politics. But like Ben and many others who are very, very pro-Israel have seemingly changed the stakes to only we are right.
Mm-hmm.
Only we are righteous. And everybody who disagrees with us is an anti-Semite, neo-Nazi grifter.
Yeah, why do they manufacture anti-Semitism?
They're
it seems
turning
like
into leftists.
they have to do it.
It's
They
the
have
exact
to
same thing
victimize
with the woke.
themselves to continue the fucking money flow going to Israel. That's what it is, right?
Well, it
has to be.
It's it's funny because Mark Levin calls people like you and me and Tucker the.
Hold on. I actually think it's for a couple reasons, right? Like, if they allow, I think Philly benefits the most from a rise in anti-Semitism, right? And they become even a more protected class of people, right? Whether that be here in the United States, particularly, is of interest to us, right? And their ability to push more laws that infringe our ability to talk about people in positions of power and control that happen to be pro-Philly and that are Philadelphian themselves. It benefits them. And who knows that if there is some manufactured crisis down the line, they could then point back at all of this and point at all of us that contributed to that event or that radicalized group of people or individual that does some heinous act that was probably faked from the beginning or, allowed to happen like 9/11 or October 7th, so that they could then do something, right? It's the Hegelian dialectic, right? They allow or they create the problem, this scenario, they manufacture, right, the response and the outcome. And it seems to benefit certain people always, and it's never us in the end. And so I think this whole rise of anti-Semitism, it's also directed to benefit them and hurt any of us, because we now are questioning, and like, if you're not pro-Zionism, then you're anti-Semitism. What do you know? You either have to support Philly and everything, or now we're one of them. We're an anti-Semite. So yeah.
Woke Reich.
Yep, that's
like
what we call us.
We're part of the Third Reich, but we're woke.
Yep.
I've never understood how they can argue we're woke. I really genuinely don't get it. It is they who are behaving like woke leftists.
Yep.
Making identity and these baseless accusations of, you're an ist of some sort, racist, bigot, whatever, the stakes of the relationship. Like, that's what they're doing. They have spent the past 5 years condemning the woke for saying, oh, what's important about me is my skin color. I want to be seen for my blackness. And they've just replaced it with my Semitism. And you're an anti-Semite. If you disagree with me on anything, you're an anti-Semite. It's because you're an anti-Semite. Like, even if you just say, hey, Israel's gone pretty far. I defended it for 2 years, but it is looking a little genocide-y.
A little.
Yeah, but that's how I started off in like the most mild, like, I defended you for the better part of this war. You haven't stopped. You continue to seem totally remorseless about killing tens of thousands of civilians. I've got to be honest, I'm starting to turn on you. Anti-Semite.
Yep. What?
You would not believe the number of attacks that were launched on me just at that point.
And Charlie.
You're under Tucker's spell. No. It's not Tucker. It's you. It's you people doing the mass killing.
Yep.
And the people who are defending them without being honest about what's actually happening in Gaza.
And that's what's hard for me with her. So like, and it made it very clear when she's like, no, I'm okay with Candace asking questions about Philly. Okay. So we get it. You're anti-Philly. So are we. But that's the only thing you're okay with Candace doing, as long as it's directed at Philly. And it's like, okay, so I agree on her take on that and the war and the genocide and Philly and all that. But then all this other stuff, she's just so far off on. And I'm like, where's your honesty and your integrity and your intellect when you're viewing and your take on these other issues, and you're just like, no, that's too much. That's too much. That's too far. And I'm like, oh man, Megyn, I don't get you.
I have the capability of being honest.
Yeah.
I can condemn what Hamas did on 10/7 with ease, and have since it happened.
But not Erica and those at TPUSA and the weird things that they're doing. You can't be honest about that. Come on.
I can be honest about the sexual assaults that took place and all the atrocities, and have condemned it for months and months and beyond. But that same ability allows me to see what you, Israel, are doing very clearly. And when I started to see it and speak up about it, I had the whole pro-Israel internet turn on me, bought me. There are full groups who are all over my social media now.
I got to ask you guys a question. What is your guys' take? So the very, very beginning, I couldn't play any of it because it was talking about Michael Jackson, right? And all of the allegations and the charges that were levied at him because there's that new movie out about Michael Jackson and his nephews in it, and like the family or the estate of Michael Jackson or who put it on, and they've already grossed over $1 billion in a month. But I mean, I watched Candace's take on Michael Jackson, and I thought Candace did an honest job, and that the charges were a smokescreen. They're not real, right? And that she kind of proved the different parents and the individuals that came out and did it were not honest, right, people, and they were doing it for money. Megyn says, she doubles down and she's like, no, that Michael clearly was a PDFer, and that he, what is your guys' take on that whole thing? Do you guys know that Michael Jackson was fighting for the rights to his masters, and he was about to win them and about to win the rights to the Beatles, right? That's a big reason to take someone out and to ruin his name, his career, his livelihood. And for a long time, it was tainted. Okay, until the lawyer that was in charge of the trust brokered this deal with Cirque du Soleil, and then there was a Broadway show, and both of those did really well and made a lot of money, and then people realized there was still a market for Michael Jackson. And now this movie, right? You'll never believe that he's innocent. Okay, I don't know that he's like fully innocent of everything. I don't know that either, and I'm not saying that he is, but like there are, from what Candace seems to have shown, if you guys have watched her whole thing on it, a lot of it seems to be, not true. So, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, he was on his way to being half owner of Sony. Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's a big thing. Oh, that they could not use. Okay, and that's something that Megyn talks about. She talks, and I can't play it. This is on Patreon. I don't know how much they're going to talk about when they upload this to YouTube. But like, if you guys want to watch that part, you could pay the $5 to Shawn Ryan's Patreon and watch the full thing. But she says things that I'd never heard of before in regards to this case. And so I was like, I don't know. And I couldn't even play it. I can't play it here. You could watch it on Rumble. I don't know when he's going to post this stuff on Rumble, but let's see this. Janet Jackson has said that she was forced to say that about Michael because her Jewish husband was beating the living ish out of her. Yeah. So she was forced. Yep. There's a lot of weird stuff about the whole Michael Jackson thing that I just don't think you can ignore outright and be like, oh, it's all true. And, and a lot of the individuals that came forward, either the parents were really bad, or even some of the boys that were in that, what was it? The Surviving Neverland, like they forever, when there was no money in the trust and had no money, like were saying nothing. But then when the Michael Jackson trust and estate was starting, or not trust, but the estate was starting to actually make money again, because after his death, Megyn even said it herself, his estate at zero. There was nothing there. So like, you can sue. There's nothing there to sue. But then once it started doing good, these people came out of the woodworks, right? Yeah. So I'm just saying, I've watched a lot of different stuff on that whole thing, and I definitely think a lot of it was BS, and they wanted to ruin Michael Jackson. Okay. I'm not saying that Is it appropriate for a grown man to have friendships and relationships with kids? No. We don't know. We weren't there, but no, that in and of itself is weird. Okay. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there was other stuff going on. It's weird. I would never do it. And anyone that's doing it, I would say no. I do know that when someone's severely traumatized and has severe PTSD, their emotional brain, like they get stunted emotionally. And a lot of people never move past that. Okay. And in a lot of ways, if you ever watch Michael, it was almost like he was a grown adult that was a child, like emotionally and mentally. And, I'm just saying, so like there's so much there that we don't really know, but I don't know. All right, let me continue.
It's very annoying. It's annoying for my fans who don't want to deal with these bots, and I get it. But I think they're committed to not letting these people have the final say.
I'm getting it too. Not like you are, but whoa. What did that cause? Are you getting a lot of death threats?
I mean, we've had the FBI involved now multiple times because I've, you always kind of get death threats in my job, but they have risen to a level that's just beyond. And so, I can't and won't go through all the security precautions we've had to implement in my life, but it's insane. And it's so wrong. It's over what? Oh, my opinion. I now have to worry about getting shot because of my opinion. And what is my opinion? I think Israel should stop killing civilians in Gaza and Beirut and elsewhere. And I don't want to be involved in their wars. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just deeply wrong.
Well, I got you another present.
Nope, I can't show the present. So let me pull this off the screen because on a live, you can't look at certain things. And he hands her a weapon. And he always gives gifts. He gives weapons as gifts. And so let me see if this is past it. Hold on.
I said Charlie Kirk.
Okay, hold on. Let me back it to right where the weapon goes away. Hold on.
Right.
What do you think that was? The last time I interviewed you, you made a recommendation that I interview Charlie.
All right, so I'm letting you hear the audio because she's holding the weapon still in her hand, okay? That's why I'm playing it like this. So just hold on and she can put it away and then I can show you the video.
I didn't get that opportunity, unfortunately, but...
Can you believe that?
All right, there it is. Now the weapon's away. So, all right. So keep in mind, he just asked her, what do you think that was about Charlie Kirk, about what happened to Charlie Kirk? She doesn't answer.
People. I said Charlie Kirk. I'm so sad you didn't get to know him because you guys would have loved each other.
Yeah, I wish I would have. I was being put into the MAGA spectrum, and I was never MAGA.
Neither was I.
But somehow the media placed me there, and so I didn't want to affiliate with any particular party.
Yeah.
And so I kind of steered away from it. Now I wish I would have, because I've heard so many great things about him.
No, I laughed when, Trump's like, she's not MAGA. I'm like, correct. I've never claimed otherwise. I've never been MAGA. I've always called myself MAGA adjacent. Like I'm a registered independent, which my audience knows very well. I say it all the time. It's very important to me not to have these team labels on me.
What do you have to re-register?
Yeah.
I'm a registered Republican. I got to re-register.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
How do you do that?
You got to. You can do it. You get down to the DMV and you change your voter registration. Well, I would change my name when I got married, and they gave you the option then, but I had done it prior to that. So yeah, I've never been MAGA. I understand MAGA, and my sensibilities are much more affiliated with the right than the left. So like that's all real, and that's me. But I've never said I'm MAGA ever. So like I'm like kind of like that time.
I hate that I got placed in that. I never even wanted Trump to win until he was the only guy to vote for. But
well, that's the problem, is that elections remain binary choices. Yep. So it's like, do I wish I had voted for Kamala? No. Hell no.
That's not what I meant. I meant during all the other people that were running for the Republican side. I was like, please just get one of these other people in.
Yeah.
And then when he got it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, but even then, do you guys remember all the different candidates that were, anyone that makes it that far? Man, it's like you're really just going to get the same outcome, like they all have to Well, I mean, we'll see. It looks like Thomas Massey may be running in 28, you know? And, but really, the way that the political system is set up now, money, especially because companies' ability to donate to a political party is considered free speech. It's considered their speech, right? Because you're endorsing, and that's like, and they have allowed these massive foreign lobbies and just PACs in general, and money is how people make it into the presidency. And so either people have to accept money, or like, can they really mount a good campaign by just accepting small donations from all of us? I mean, Massey wasn't able to do that even just in his congressional race, right? Money from AIPAC made the difference, or at least appeared to make the difference in that congressional race. Now think about that on a massive, on, you know, the national scale for the presidency. And until we change those laws, I don't think there's going to be any different outcome. Like, it's always going to be who raises the most money and who has the most donors, and, you know, and that's just that is the sad state of our political system that we're in, you know? Yeah. All right. While we continue, you guys do me a favor and just hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate it. I got to say this as we go along, and I get it. It's one of those things I got to say, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys for doing that. Okay.
Fuck. And then I was like, please don't put anybody that's worth a shit in the administration, because you're going to be garbage afterwards. There's no chance, especially right now.
You're not feeling optimistic about JD Vance 2028?
Listen to this.
No. Or Rubio.
I agree. I don't like any of them.
Or anybody that's in there.
Yep.
Because they're all yes men fucking puppets.
Yep.
Oh.
Now they're all talking about Catholicism, which I think is fucking hilarious.
Well,
let's talk about.
Okay, so hold on. Let me read this. Did Vivek take AIPAC money? Hi, Nina, darling. I haven't seen you in a minute. I don't know if he did that, but like, let me go here. And let's see how far back do I need to go so that you guys can hear. Where's the part where he starts talking about, let's go like right about, let's see. I don't know. I'm just going to start it here.
A member, even if they are well past their years at Yale Law School. 2, the guest list. See, by the time this thing really got going, they weren't booking local professors or rabbis anymore. They were booking like senators, UN investigators, and international journalists, foreign ministers, all sorts of political bigwigs. And 3, I'd argue the most important one, none of this is on record, but the organization officially saying.
All right, so sorry, I know I started halfway through. And so he's talking about this group of individuals that all met at Yale Law School, and JD's on there, Vivek is on there, and the group of people that now have been hoisted on us. And so that's the context of what he's talking about. Like, the title of this is How Peter Thiel Found Vance, Israeli Secret Society. Okay. And this is Will Sexton on his channel.
That the guest list, quote, exists, but is strictly off limits to anyone whose last name is not Hecht, referring to its organizer, Rabbi Hecht. This combination, elite membership, lifelong bonds, off-the-record conversations with powerful people, it's very clear this is not a book club. This is a power structure. It also makes the deep dive kind of tough, because obviously we can't just go online and find a big list of people who showed up to this kosher eyes wide shut party on LinkedIn or on Google. However, if we look at the timeline, cross-reference it with who was in the area after the founding of the club, alongside some anecdotes from people potentially involved, we can kind of put together a pretty tentative list of who in our nation's power structure actually attended. We know that J.D. Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Usha Vance all attended Yale Law in the same small class at the same time, and were all expressly members of this organization. We also know that Supreme Court Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Sonia Sotomayor were all alumni of Yale Law across the past few decades. Now, here's the thing. That's not necessarily incriminating of those justices. I mean, it would be crazy to say that most important people in the country in determining the very basic law that governs our everyday lives would be part of this, right? Funny enough, it was Usha Vance after her time at Shabtai that would go on to become a clerk for Brett Kavanaugh not long after her graduation from Yale Law, implying a pretty clear link between alumni of Yale Law and their proximity to the society. Now, Usha Vance is the famous Indian wife of J.D. Vance, the current frontrunner for the Republican nomination and vice president to Donald Trump in this current administration. Now, what's interesting there is how Usha actually met J.D. Vance. According to Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, they met naturally as members of the same study group. How cute. But we know from other, much more honest sources that Vivek Ramaswamy played a much larger role in their meeting than anybody says, with both Vivek and Usha being Indian Americans. They made quick friends in their small class. I mean, this is only further bolstered by the fact that Usha and Vance have named their first son Vivek. I highly doubt that's a coincidence. It was after meeting through Vivek.
So interesting.
That Usha and Vance co-organized a discussion on the quote, social decline in white America, which later influenced JD's book, where Vance literally says, quote, there is a cultural movement in the white working class to blame problems on society or the government, and that movement gains adherence by the day. He writes about their learned helplessness, pessimism, men quitting jobs because they don't feel like waking up early, and then blaming Obama. He cites.
Do you think it's an accident that JD's book became a bestseller and turned into a movie pushed on all of us?
A Pew study finding there is no group of Americans more pessimistic than working class whites. And so
that's all of, I mean, oh my goodness.
So the man who wrote a book diagnosing the failures of the white working class, I assume many of you at home, who is now vice president, championing the same culture as the soul of America, married a high caste Brahmin daughter of Indian immigrants and spent his foremost years in a Jewish nationalist leadership society at Yale. That doesn't sound like horrifically sketchy, right? And all of this comes, of course, alongside Vivek's infamous Christmas crash out over how lazy and entitled us Americans are and how we need to be more like his people. Meanwhile, this also comes after his great praise of Israel and how his people should be like Israel, duly loyal, that the working class of America needs to become content being poorer, living in worse conditions with less stuff, owning nothing, and working 16-hour days at the behest of.
Right. It sounds like those are some of the things they push Peter Thiel in the group. You will own nothing property. You will have nothing and you will be happy and you will eat fake food that we create. Right. And that's like when you learn about the ticks that have been, genetically modified to make people allergic to red meat. Oh, what do you know? Bill Gates is also making, fake replacement meat.
A ruling financier class based solely on an ethnic affiliation, and that Americans are entitled brats for demanding that we, some semblance of a meaningful life. If you've watched my video on Modi and the BJP, you know
he talks about
serfdom age, a serfdom age where the American working class becomes Hindified, a mass of obedient workers largely brought in from the Indian subcontinent where they're overflowing with poor people. And it's these guys, the Shabtai Society, that gets to lord over it with financier money. Not only was Vance handpicked to be this white American, down-home, American-looking WASP Trojan horse that brings this shit into the White House, he was directly groomed at Shabtai. He met all of these people, his wife, his political connections, and his Peter Thiel connection, all at Shabtai, facilitated by Rabbi Hecht. But all of this would require a ton of money and influence, and we haven't really proven that yet. For all you at home know, I could be talking about some Sunday social club, and there's no real backing or institutional power to the organization, and I'm merely just being crazy. Well, that leads us into finding out where exactly this funding is coming from.
Right. And it comes from Peter Thiel. So, and you can watch that full video. on Will Sexton's channel. But let's get back to it. But yeah, so she's about to defend JD Vance. So let's just remember where we started.
About oh, you're a fucking Catholic all of a sudden?
There's no way to be in the Trump administration without being a yes man. You won't last.
The fastest growing Christian denomination in the world right now. Now all of a sudden we're going to advertise that we're fucking Catholic. Right.
I'll tell you.
Have you heard of this organization, Catholics for Catholics?
No, what do they do?
Do you really think she doesn't know? How would she not know? I don't know. So many things she acts like she doesn't know. It's just kind of weird.
I mean, it's Catholics for Catholics. If they're going to get into politics.
Oh, that's not a good idea.
And so now you're going to give it all these fucking politicians that are claiming they're Catholic all of a sudden, you know?
Well, I mean, JD is a recent convert, but Marco Rubio's a lifelong Catholic, right? And he's a Hispanic guy from Cuba. Like I don't know how observant he is. But I'll tell you what I think.
I don't see him standing up for any fucking Christian rights.
Nope.
I think their biggest problem is the Republican Party is so divided. I don't know who the Republican Party can unite behind. You know, the non-interventionist faction, I don't think they will back a Rubio or a traditional Republican who's neocon-y. And the neocon faction is not going to get behind a JD Vance. So who's the solution? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't see the solution. That's why, I mean, it would generally be a good time to be a leftist, but they have zero talent on their side. They have, I mean, Pete Buttigieg, who, by the way, is polling first in the most recent poll I saw on Team Dem. Pete Buttigieg, okay, sure. He's not going to be president. He's not going to be the Democrat nominee, and he's not going to be president. Kamala Harris, no, she's already been rejected. AOC, I mean, sure, she could get the nomination, but could she convince a general electorate to vote for her? She's completely radical. She wanted to get rid of all the cows. So it's like, I don't think so. The super fat, trans-loving Governor Pritzker of Illinois, no. I mean, as soon as his gender policies and crime policies get outed, the general electorate's going to reject him. So I think the best thing the Republicans have going for them is the lunatic left, how bad they are, how they don't have a real threat. Gavin Newsom, let's go through the California policies. Let's just put them on a board and tell me if you even think they're real. They're so radical, you won't believe they're real, all under his watch. So
I want to ask you guys a question, okay? And it's going to come up here in a second. I think there's a reason, and I don't know what it is yet, but there's this push and there's this effect that's happening with a lot of us in the conservative right that we are becoming extremely apathetic to the political system, whether that be because of what happened to Charlie, right? And Candace Owens saying like, we should all just not vote until we find out what happens. Okay, I get the outrage, right? And then everything that just happened with Thomas Massey, right? Like, okay, we can turn out to vote, but if Philly just buys the election, why does our vote doesn't even count, right? Or everything that Trump just did, right? We literally just voted him in and JD in the administration to represent us and change all of the stuff that they ran on, and then they didn't. So it's like, okay, we vote someone in for a reason, and then they don't do it. It's like our vote doesn't even matter, right? And so for many different reasons, it's almost as if they want us to not vote in 28. They want us to, for whatever reason, not vote. And I think it's because they want someone on the other political party, because if both parties are owned and operated from a uniparty that's invisibly behind them, they need the pendulum to swing in the extremes. They need it to go right and left, because they pass certain things when a Republican administration is in office and when a Democrat administration is in office. And I also think they're wanting us, for whatever reason, to get to the point where we move from civil strife, civil unrest to civil war. And whether they, none of us turn out and we don't vote and they get someone in, and then passes some sort of new legislation that, takes our rights away. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms. We are the ones with the majority of the arms. We are the ones that would stand up against a, out of control government. And it makes me wonder why it seems that many different things are at play, but that there is this direction, which is everyone is like, I'm not even going to vote in 2028. And you're going to hear Shawn Ryan. Let me read this real quick. Charlie was a friend of John Yep. Yes, Catholics for Catholics. Yep. I know that. Yep. They covered the Pope's election together on the Charlie Kirk show. Yep. And Megyn doesn't know anything. Yeah, I know. Isn't that weird? Yeah. John Yep went on with Zach Costello. And I think John Yep went on with Baron Coleman and said that Charlie was, taking courses. He was converting to Catholicism. Right. And Megyn not knowing that at all is really weird. Yeah, I think it's weird. Isn't Megyn Catholic? Is Megyn not Catholic? I feel like she said she is Catholic, but she's not like a good Catholic.
I mean, it's easy to sort of say like the Republicans aren't going to go anywhere because they've been all yes men to a very controversial, very unpopular agenda. But we have to pick somebody. And
do you like anybody on the left?
On the left?
Yeah.
Like a politician?
Anybody.
No, but if I had to vote for anybody over there who's like throwing his hat out there, I kind of like Rahm Emanuel. He's like a fighter. I like how he's like.
Wait, what the heck? She is. I knew I remembered that because she says it. She says that much when she says the whole, I want to be there when they flip the switch on Tyler Robinson. And she's like, I'm a Catholic and I don't really know how that squares out with my faith. And yeah, I just Googled it. Yep. Yes, Megyn Kelly is a practicing Catholic, though she has described her relationship with the church as complicated. Okay, but yeah, so she was raised in an Irish Catholic family in upstate New York, right? Deeply connected to faith, right? Defense of her religion. Defending and discussing Catholicism on her show. She's been open about her frustration with the church and bureaucracy and traditions. Yeah, of course, especially in America with everything that happened. But I mean, to say that she doesn't know about the organization Catholic for Catholics is crazy. Candace Owens went, right? Carrie Brashim Bowler went. I think Joe Kent went too, didn't he? How does she not know? Like, that was such a big event at that time, too. I don't know. That's weird. Like, let's hear who she says.
He's a swearer and he's a tough guy. Like, he's a real man. He's not like this sort of light in the loafer femme kid like Pete Buttigieg. He's not afraid to throw a punch. I like that. He has said no more money for Israel. I like that. He has said that? Yeah. He has said no.
You believe him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. He's Jewish, but he's not an Israel firster. He has said that
I don't believe her.
He doesn't want boys and girls sports. And he has said that he wouldn't change a thing about Trump's border. Like, I could vote for that kind of a Democrat. There'd be things about him I didn't like, but
I don't know if she says it later on because like I said, this is a 3-hour, podcast interview and we watched the whole thing and I forget like which part she said it. But so, and I get it. Like when people are younger, they typically, before they're married, before they have kids, not everyone, but some, right? Especially if they go to university and things, become more democratic in their political leanings and beliefs and, worldview. But then when they become married and have kids, like they become more conservative, right? But I do think it's weird that she said it either earlier in the interview or she'll say it in a minute, but that she used to be Democrat and then she got hired at Fox. And I think it became politically expedient for her to become Republican. And then now she's like, now it's not. Now I'm an independent. I don't know. There could be a total innocent, like I just said, natural, trajectory for her going from there to there. But it also just seems to be a little like she just goes where the wind blows, and she does seem like a fence sitter in many different ways, and that she does things, I don't know, for the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
I'd vote for him over a neocon righty.
What do you think of Ro?
Who?
Ro Khanna.
Ro Khanna.
Oh, I like him. He's been on the show. He's reasonable. He's like, that's the kind of Democrat in general I would like, though I don't love him on the trans stuff. And I can't vote for anybody who's going to continue chopping off the body parts of children.
Is he big on the trans stuff?
He's not big on it, but he's not on the right side on it either. So, Rahm Emanuel's the only Democrat.
And Ro Khanna came on the Shawn Ryan show. So that's why I think Shawn asked her about it, because he did a full-on sit-down with Ro Khanna.
But I know who's suggested they might run for president, who is where they should be on that issue. And I could never vote for that. We are sterilizing our children. We are depriving them of any hope of sexual pleasure or fertility at the age of 12. There's no informed consent. They want to ignore this problem like it's a nothing. It's not a nothing. It's not up to a parent. It's not between a parent and a doctor and a child. It's between God and a child, and no child can consent to that when they are a minor. So that I would never vote for somebody who would not stand against that. And he's a Democrat who's both against that and against more Middle East wars on behalf of Israel.
That's not very many people.
It's a short list.
Who do you like on the right?
I like JD.
You like JD?
Yeah, I don't think JD's in favor of this war. He's got to keep his mouth shut about it because he works for Trump. That's the deal when you're the VP.
No.
He accepted the job, so he's doing the job nobly.
That's not the job. Okay? That's not the job. No, it's not. And that's not the job of the president or the vice president. The job that they're in is to represent us who elected them there. What did they promise us? What did they run on? Okay? And if the president is either knowingly or unknowingly, being lied to, blackmailed, bribed, threatened, and is completely shifted on all the promises that they together made to us, his job is not to just go along with it. His job would be to not go along with it, to do everything he could to get him, Trump, to fulfill his promises to us. And I mean, I don't know if there's ever been a vice that's resigned or willingly left, but she's going to point out that, how do you know that JD's not behind the scenes fighting for us? And then, Shawn's like, is he? Are you saying that because you know that he is? No, it's just a hypothetical. What? That's the dumbest hypothetical then. He should be representing us. Yeah, in front of a mic. Yes.
It's not noble to run around being like, my boss sucks. I'm against the war. I was the one person who stood against it. Make sure that's printed. He's really not doing that. He's standing for Trump. He's trying to find the right messaging around it. Like, it's not a great idea, but if we do it, this is how I guess we should do it. Like, you're the boss. You're the one they elected as president, not me. And so you're asking me what my thoughts are. He's on the record, according to the New York Times, as having said, I don't think we should do this. But if you're going to do it, this is what I think we should do. I think that's honorable. And I think JD Vance is definitely non-interventionalist. That's what the neocons hate about him. That's one of the main reasons they go after Tucker so hard, is because they see him as a surrogate for JD and they need JD to be hobbled. But I think JD on his own, when he's in the top spot, or it's going to be complicated because if he runs for it, he's got to run for it while still Trump's VP. He's going to be in the same position as Kamala Harris on immigration. And when The View asked her, anything you do differently? Nothing comes to mind. He's going to have to learn to navigate that, because he's going to have to say, yeah, there's some things I do differently, and Trump's not going to like that. So that's going to be the joy of being us. We'll be able to talk about it. Not responsible for steering it. We just have to cover it. But yeah, I like JD a lot.
That guy has a fucking chance in hell of getting it.
Why?
Because he's not. I think the opposite. He's not saying anything.
Yep.
Well, what would you
I don't think
expect a
Trump
sitting
is being
VP
loyal
do?
to the American people.
Yep.
I think first and foremost, if you're in any position in the administration, I think you owe it to the people.
Yes.
To do what, though? What would you expect?
The right thing.
What would you say to JD? Do what?
I would say he needs to speak out against what the fuck is happening in
Yes.
this country
Yes.
and in the world.
Like in front of a microphone.
Yep.
Yep.
And betray his boss.
Yep.
Yep.
And basically probably get forced out of the administration.
Yep.
Although you can't really fire a VP. See, I
look at him, I see a guy who is totally conflicted in his morals with what's happening right now. And he doesn't look like he knows what to do.
Well, are you so sure he's not fighting it behind the scenes from the inside?
Is he?
I think people need to know that.
I don't know that he is or he isn't. I don't have inside knowledge on this.
Then why say
I just know where his sensibilities are. But I agree he's in a very difficult position. I mean, that's what happens when you accept this job. You put yourself in that very difficult position. It's not ideal.
I just don't see any positivity coming out of this administration.
Nope.
It seems very self-serving.
Yep.
I have a list of shit printed I could go through, but I mean, what was the last one? He fucking made it so he had Todd Blanche do the dirty work so that him or anybody in his family could never be audited by the IRS. What the fuck is that shit?
Shady.
The drone company, the $400 million jet from Qatar.
Yep.
What is it? The Executives Club. You know about that?
Yeah, that they started in DC.
You don't hear about any of this shit.
Yeah.
Does this shit look like he's serving the fucking people?
Nope.
No. So you're going to serve that? Or are you going to speak out against it and let everybody know what the fuck is happening?
You think he'd be better off?
Fox News sure as fuck isn't reporting any of this shit.
None of it. None of it.
Neither are you, Megyn.
No, I there's no question that the corruption in the administration has been far beyond what
He
I ever
sued the
expected.
fucking government. He sued his own fucking government. For what? Like, how much?
Okay, but that I can defend.
This is what bothers me with Megyn. What is she doing? Like, man, Megyn.
Because look, he was maliciously prosecuted by the DOJ.
Yeah.
You remember Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, those two FBI agents who were like, don't worry, we're going to stop him.
Yeah.
They sued their own government.
Okay.
And they got paid $2 million.
Oh, so yeah.
They got paid. These two who were openly working to defeat a legitimate candidate who'd been nominated by Republicans or was about to be for president. How did they get paid? They complained that somebody leaked their texts to the media and their privacy had been violated, that their government had basically violated their rights. And Joe Biden's DOJ paid them out $2 million.
Okay.
Now, 1.8 billion is a lot more than 2 million, but it's the same principle. Trump saying to the government,
it doesn't make it okay that he's doing it, Megyn. Like, oh, okay.
The DOJ, which now he runs, but it's the same organization. You did the wrong thing. You maliciously prosecuted me and I'm entitled to remuneration. So he filed this case. He has a case for that. There's no question that's true. He was maliciously prosecuted. There was no basis for what they did to him in particular. And they were behind the one in New York, which was one of the most specious. But, you know, the January 6th thing, that wasn't a criminal case against Trump. That was just a bullshit lie.
You can't use the presidency for self-retribution,
Nope.
though.
Nope.
Well, I mean, you can, unfortunately.
No, you shouldn't. Okay. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just because the left and Biden and that administration did it doesn't give us an excuse, or Trump and JD or Trump's family an excuse to do it themselves. And for you to even try to excuse it, I can explain that. But I can understand that. Let me explain. Megyn, you're kind of showing that you're just a fence sitter and like you're part of the problem.
I see that.
So as a matter of settling that, he got this settlement, and he knew it would be too much to say, I'm going to line my pockets with this money.
Did you guys know that his sons, they got some sort of drone contract, government contract? I didn't know that. I mean, they kind of went over that really quickly. I didn't even know that.
The way he got around it was to say, I'm going to use this for a fund to pay out all the people who have also been maliciously prosecuted, like the January 6thers. I mean, James Comey has already said, how about me? It's a fair question, to be honest. But it's a huge number. And the 5-person board that oversees the payouts is hand selected by Todd Blanche, his personal attorney, now our acting attorney general, and Trump can fire any of them at any time. So it looks like a massive slush fund.
Yeah. So hold on. So I just wanted to figure it out real quick. So yes, multiple Pentagon contracts have been awarded to companies that are tied to and backed by Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump. Power Us. So the U.S. Air Force agreed to buy interceptor drones from Power Us, a drone manufacturer in which both Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are investors. Unusual Machines. This drone maker, which tapped Donald Trump Jr. as an advisory board member, was awarded a U.S. Army contract to supply drone motors and components. Eric Trump is also listed as an investor in the firm. Extend. Eric Trump has an ownership stake and serves as an investor in this drone maker, which was selected to participate in the Department of Defense's drone dominance program. Vulcan Elements, a rare earth startup funded by 1789 Capital, a venture capital firm where Donald Trump Jr. serves as a partner, secured a $620 million loan contract from the Pentagon's Office of Strategic Capital. And then Foundation Future Industries. Eric Trump serves as a chief strategy advisor for this robotics startup, which landed a $24 million Pentagon contract to test humanoid robots with the Marine Corps. What the actual heck is going on?
For Trump friends and family, or anybody who just happens to come up with a claim, and we don't know how much the payouts are going to be. There are no criteria for what the payouts are going to be, and it's an unprecedented sum that hasn't been approved by Congress. Yet again, our tax money is not supposed to get spent without the approval of the representatives who answer to us via elections every 2 years, so that when it came to especially matters of the purse, we had the ability to hire and fire them if we didn't like what they did. That's being removed from us by something like this.
I feel like this is how he's justified to himself to just take advantage of every little thing that comes across his desk that's going to benefit him financially. He's justified it through what's happened to him previously, which I could understand, but
I don't agree with.
I'm sorry. Like, it just,
you can't do it.
You can't
fleece the American taxpayer.
Can't do it like that.
Mm-hmm. No.
Then she agrees, but then she just finished defending him. Okay, Megyn, you are a walking contradiction like Erica Kirk. You speak out of one side and then speak out of the other side. Like, what are you? Who are you?
It's disturbing. I mean, like
or he's owned by Israel, or they've threatened him with blackmail, or his life, or maybe somebody in his family, or maybe it's all of it together.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, Tucker's big on the threat. I'm not sure if I believe that. I just think.
Wait till you hear her reason. And if she actually thinks this and knew this, then how, and she'd probably have more information on all this than any of us have ever supported and thought that he was ever going to do anything other than serve himself. And everyone knows this, okay? Presidents in their first term behave themselves, okay? They do what they have to keep us believing the lie that they are who they say they are, and that really their second term is where they're really going to fulfill their promises for us and to us. But really, the second term is where they give us the finger. If you guys ever seen, Friends, right? That's the finger, all right? And they give us the finger in the second term where they really do what they really want. And it's not fulfilling their promises that they didn't fulfill in the first term. It's doing, what he's doing what he's doing, because he doesn't have to run a second term. He's already in it. He doesn't need us anymore. So listen to her reason and see if you believe it.
Look, when it comes to matters of the wallet, Trump's always been, very focused on money. And he's been less than forthright about his finances. That's why his CFO went to prison of the Trump organization. Like, there's a reason. There's a history there. I guess I just didn't realize just how grand it would be on the presidential scale. I guess I kind of thought he'd be more like he was in the first administration, where he didn't do all this. Like, he understood that there were eyes on him. And there was the threat of congressional investigation and potentially prosecution hanging.
And I think that was all BS, you guys. Obviously he really was, indicted and prosecuted, but I don't think anything real was going to ever come of it. It helped feed the lore, right? That he is the, enemy of the establishment, right? They're coming for him, right? And it made us believe in him even more that this guy really is not one of them. Look at the lengths they'll go to, right? But just look at how he defended Bill and Hillary in this whole Jeffy Epi thing. Oh, yeah, but he hated her in 2016, but now he defends her. No, they're my friends. It's a shame. No, what they're doing to Bill. It's all a game. It's all fake.
Over him. Now that we have a Supreme Court ruling saying not much of what you do is in your official role as president can be prosecuted, I think he's feeling a little more fancy-free. Yep. But he's not going to save himself from congressional investigations, which are going to start the moment the Republicans lose the House in November.
No, they're not.
That's happening. And that could get ugly for him. So he should watch it a little. And the Trump sons should watch it. The drone company is problematic. We awarded a military contract to a drone company owned by the sons.
The crypto stuff.
At a time when their dad is the one prosecuting the war. Like there are conflicts of interest that are pretty obvious that they should have to justify.
Oil shorting.
I think it just counted 5 different contracts, 5 different companies.
We don't know who's doing that or who's getting rich off of that.
But we're going to go after a fucking U.S. service member for a little bet on Polymarket.
You're absolutely right. That guy made
lead by
$400,000.
example, guys.
Right. It's not great. We don't want it to happen, but we really don't want it to happen to the tune of millions. And it keeps happening over and over again as a result of reports that get dropped. And that turn out to be untrue. We have a deal. Another deal.
Mm-hmm.
The Iran war is over. It's over. Didn't you know it's over? It's weird how it's not over. Yeah, no, all of that should be looked into. We need the federal regulators to take a hard look at some of those trades to make sure that they're legit and people haven't just accurately gamed it out without having insider knowledge.
Do you think JD has a shot?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Who do you think has a shot? Someone's going to have to win.
I don't even think about it anymore because I don't think it matters.
See?
I haven't quite crossed into that level of cynicism yet. I haven't taken the black pill. I don't know.
I think it's, I
think I've taken a great pill.
It's biblical. I really do.
What do you mean?
We're seeing a
Say
veil
more.
lifted. I think we've idolized all these fucking people. Trump, Musk, Biden, whoever, insert politician, billionaire, elitist, tech bro, whatever.
Yep.
And we're all looking for one person to fix this shit. And we keep propping these fucking people up and they're corrupt and this veil's lifting. I mean, in the Epstein, who knows if it's true or not, but they're talking about eating fucking babies and blood rituals on Epstein Island.
Mm-hmm.
This shit is biblical.
I didn't make it this far. I got to pause for a second. Hopefully, I don't know. Do you guys think it's going to, hopefully YouTube doesn't freak out. I don't know. Yeah, the Gaza plans, did you know, were created? Are you talking about the rebuilding of Gaza? Did you not see the Howard Lutnick and Jared Kushner 60 Minutes interview where Howard Lutnick, I think it's Howard Lutnick. Yeah, I think it's Howard Lutnick. He's like, oh, we had the plans to rebuild Gaza 2 years before October 7th. Jared Kushner's like, dude, shut up. What are you doing? You should see his face. If you haven't seen that, you should go watch it. Yeah, and we just named a couple of how, of Trump's sons are benefiting from a war, right? Not to mention Jared Kushner and Trump's daughter, how they're going to be benefiting, and the Trump probably is going to get a Trump Tower in Gaza, right? Beachfront property. Yeah, Charlie was a black pill. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Oh, thank you, Delaney Trail. Matt, every time I'm watching your show, I just lose my mind because I agree with everything you're saying. Thank you. It's because like we're just normal people, right? And this is just literally me being me. I don't know how else to be. I'm definitely not playing a part. You know, if you were to talk to any of the mods that talk with me, like this is me. You know, I'm just being honest. So, you know, it's because when normal people get together and we just are honest about our perspective and our view, like we kind of land in the same area on a lot of stuff. We have a lot in common. And I think that's what part of what this channel and this community has taught me too, is that like they want to say so many of us are divided and, you know, this is, oh, people are still supporting Trump and supporting the war. Not everyone I talk to. I don't really know anyone that's like, yeah, keep it going. Not at all. Oh, that's why we love you, Matt. Thank you, Real Marie Blonde. Thank you so much. That makes me feel so good, especially with everything that had happened. Preach, Matt, preach. I want to so give you all the information I have. I swear to goodness, all I got this time. Yeah. Wait, let me see something. Hold on. Don't go. Let me check something. Yes. I have received many emails, and usually the weekends are my time to read through them and then, you know, plan accordingly for the week. And so thank you for your emails and stay tuned this week. You know, during the week, I certainly don't have time Monday through Friday to like get to the emails and then use any of the information in an episode during the week. Like I'm literally a one-man show when it comes to like the show. Okay. My wife helps me with a lot. So in that regard, I'm a one-man, one-woman show, but then the mods help with the, you know, the community and the channel during the lives. But like planning each show like happens throughout the day, that day of the show during the week. And hopefully I get to start planning like in advance and like prepare and put it all together. But like for now, I just don't have the ability to do that. So the weekends are my opportunity to try to catch up on some of those things and incorporate them in the next week's show when I can. So, yeah. So Renita, if you can get me the timestamp of Jared, where that statement is uttered, it's like an hour-long, 60-minute episode of Jared Kushner and Howard Lutnick, and where he says that is such a short little part of it. Hold on. Yeah, it's a 56-minute episode. Maybe this is it. Let's see. Let me go here. Hold on. This might be it. I don't know. This is someone else's clip of it. Let's see. This might be it. Okay, so just bear with me. Let me rewind real quick.
And so I had this sort of moment with him.
Well, part of the plan is the reconstruction, the building, rebuilding of Gaza.
Mm-hmm.
And you're builders. You've been in real estate. As you said, it's extremely complex. Tell us more about the plan and how much it's going to cost. Where's the money going to come from? And who's going to award the contracts? 3 questions.
I think it's going to cost a lot of money.
What's a lot of money?
The estimates are in the $50 billion range. It might be a little bit less. It might be a little bit more. I happen to think that that's not a lot of money in that region. You have governments that are going to jump on in. And
so the Middle East countries are going to provide the money.
What you'll see European participation and so forth. I think the beginning of this plan is how to get it going, and that's what me and Jared work on all the time. The money raising we think is the easy part. We think that happens relatively quickly, but it's the master plan, and we're working with a group of people who have been working on master plans for the last 2 years.
Been working on master plan. So when did this episode air, Renita? Do you remember when well, she's not going to say here. This is her breakdown of the video. And when's the last time that people have used the word master plan in a good context? I can recall a master plan. Not very good. Not very good. But so watch Jared Kushner's face as Howard, I think this is Howard Lutnick, right? Starts to talk about the plans being worked on 2 years in advance.
So there are plans already.
Yeah. We have plans already. We have a master plan already. And by the way, and Jared's been pushing this. And
look at Jared, dude. He's trying to talk. His lips are moving and he's like freaking out. It's hilarious.
We're working together on it. And I think if the world saw the progress so far, they'd be pretty impressed.
Yeah. So basically over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of organizations that have been trying to determine what happens after the war. What's clear right now is we're very much focused on the humanitarian and the deconfliction to make sure that the aid can get to the people. And
deconfliction, because they're still shooting over there.
Yes, so you have to make sure that we're dealing with both sides and sending messages so that you don't let embers become little fires that become forest fires. So we're working on deconfliction, humanitarian aid.
Right now, you have...
if you've ever listened to people that talk about Jared's dad, right, and his family, supposedly some of the worst human beings alive, evil people. And Trump is like, yeah, here's my daughter. Here you go. Bro, okay, we marry our families, right? Our families. I don't know. I wouldn't, bro, like, over my dead body, would I ever let one of my daughters marry someone like that? Over my dead body. Yeah. Yeah, he looks constipated. I mean, he always looks constipated, though. Did you see him before he started freaking out, though? He's just like he just always like, but then he started freaking out when dude starts saying like, oh yeah, we had plans 2 years before. Holy smokes.
Would you vote for Thomas Massey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he'd be corrupted?
I think it's a very good possibility.
I don't know. I like to believe there are still some people who are truly committed to their ideals. Look at Rand Paul. I think he's a good example of not easily corruptible.
Yeah, but he never would have and didn't make it to the presidency. So it just shows you like you can make it a certain, distance in the political sphere. You can make it to a congressional seat. Can you keep the seat? Doesn't look like you can. Can you make it to president? Doesn't look like you can.
He doesn't care who hates him, and it's a long list. I respect that. I really do. He doesn't care. He'll buck Trump and is therefore loathed by him. But he has a core set of principles inherited from his dad, Ron, that seem genuinely near and dear to him, which I really respect. I still think there are some good men out there and women who could lead in a way we would admire.
They're going to get roadblocked, though, aren't they?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, what are they going to be able to do?
I don't know. I'd like to believe we're at the beginning of a sea change where people have had it. Maybe Trump will actually lean. It'd be great, actually. I'd love to see him lean into the corruption. Like, go for it. Double down, triple down. Do it so much that, Joe Biden set the table with his weird, son and all the deals they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party and everybody else. That was disgusting. The left wouldn't call it out. The right did. Then we had...
You guys, I watched a really good, let's see, I can pull it up for a second, video today. Let's see. Let me go to my history. Where is it? Here we go. Here. And this is Andrew Jick or Andre Jick. Where's the part where he talks about, let's see. Let's see if I can get it. Let's see.
Cities noticed was this. When a rising power starts threatening the dominance of an existing power, the result is almost always war. That's because fear, pride, and competition makes conflict almost inevitable. So after studying cases throughout history, they found 16 cases where a rising power challenged a ruling one. And in 12 of the 16, they ended in war. So Xi Jinping's like, hey.
So think about, right? China, rising power. Us, we're a waning power. We are an existing power, but we're waning.
We both know China is a rising superpower, and we both know how this story usually ends. Let's not do that. Now, to understand why it's all happening right now, we have to look at the most important thing, which is the flow of energy. Because whoever controls the flow of energy controls leverage and what's called capital flow, aka.
Not just that. What he talks about is gold. Hold on, let me go to the beginning of this graph.
20% of the world's energy. And since the US-Israeli war with Iran started earlier this year, the strait has been closed, and it is still closed. We can see that in the data. The official story we've been told for months is that this will get resolved quickly, right? The peace deal is coming, Hormuz will reopen, everything will go back to normal, and the stock markets have been pricing in this perfect assumption. But the data is telling us a completely different story. The story it's telling us is that the world has been drawing down its emergency oil reserves to compensate for the closure. And those reserves are starting to run out. Bloomberg reported that global oil inventories will hit operational stress levels by about June. Minimum floor levels, meaning the bare minimum that's needed to keep things like pipelines running and refineries operating, those will run out by about September. And Jeff Curry, who is the ex-head of commodities at Goldman Sachs, on Bloomberg said, parts of Europe and Asia are already in shortage right now.
There's a big difference between a deficit and a shortage. We're in a deficit. Demand is above supply. We are drawing inventories. And so you're borrowing oil from the future right now.
The US hits critical levels around July 4th.
Not good.
Even the CEOs of Chevron, ConocoPhillips, and Saudi Aramco are all giving interviews where they're saying that they're worried about the supply of oil.
The U.S. can't make up all of that supply. Inventories in the system are being drawn down, and the supply situation is tightening, and that's a concern.
Morgan Stanley put out research saying there's essentially no demand destruction in oil until prices hit $140 a barrel. But for some reason, oil is still under $100. Someone's been using the media and the paper markets to calm everything down and stabilize the whole global financial system. Right? Things like oil and rates and volatility are all being managed. They're buying the US some time.
Minutes before each market-moving announcement, suspiciously timed trades made investors about $2.6 billion, betting oil prices would drop, and now the DOJ is investigating.
Now, while all of this is happening, I also think we're being sold a Hollywood story.
Yeah.
Because the official White House press release.
Okay, so 18 CEOs went with Trump to China for this talk, right? But where's the part where he talks about gold? Let's see. U.S. releasing most barrels. No, that's still about oil. Hold on. Where's the part where he starts talking about the gold? I think this is it. Yeah, here it is. Let me back up a little. President Trump has China
Semiconductors and sanctions lifted. But what he wants most is Taiwan.
So the question you have to ask is, well, why would China want this? What does China get out of investing $1 trillion into America, right? Because it's not a charity case. So think about what they're actually buying with this money. They are buying market access because America is the biggest consumer market in the world, and China's export economy needs it, right? They're buying monetary legitimacy, a seat at the table when the global financial system gets restructured. And gold appreciation, right? Because if this deal triggers a repricing of gold, China's huge reserves explode in value. The $1 trillion investment could potentially pay for itself. And then there's almost certainly something else that's kind of implied in all of this, which is Taiwan and rare earths.
It's also critical for America's economy.
One of the things he says is that when a country is like on its way out, it sells its gold, right? Great Britain did the same thing after World War II, and we're doing it now. And that's a major sign, right? And the upcoming rising power is buying the gold. That's not a good sign for us.
They can use that asset as an escape valve for this repricing. That asset is most likely gold. Here's why. The United States government holds over 8,000 tons of gold. But here's the thing. On the US government's books, the gold is valued at only $42 an ounce. That is still the price today, which was set way back in 1973. The actual market price of gold right now is somewhere over $4,500 per ounce.
Dang.
Which means the US is sitting on a balance sheet that is dramatically understated.
Yeah.
Right? Now, China also holds insane amount of gold reserves. We don't really know how much gold they have, but they have a lot. And unlike the US, China has been aggressively accumulating more gold for years. And according to research from Luke Roman at FFTT, for 5 of the last 6 months, the single biggest export out of the United States, bigger than oil, bigger than pharmaceuticals, bigger than aircraft engines, has been gold, something called non-monetary gold. Physical gold is leaving America. Where is it going? It's going to China, or Switzerland first, and then eventually to China. Right? Why is that such a big deal? It's a big deal because there's a rule of thumb that has held true throughout basically most of history. The rule is that the country exporting its gold is usually the one losing, and the country importing gold is usually the one winning. For example, think about what happened to Great Britain in the early 20th century. As the British Empire declined, gold left London and came into New York. And by the time World War II ended, America held more than half of all the world's gold. That gold pile is literally why the dollar became the world's reserve currency.
Yep.
The country with the gold writes the rules. Ironically, you don't see China and all their financial power coming to meet Trump here in America. It's the other way around, right?
Yep. And they rolled out the red carpet for him. And so you guys, man, more than ever would we need people running the country to have our best interest at heart and to actually represent and serve us. But it looks like they're selling us to the highest bidder, and that soon, and they've been talking about this for years, and the ruling elite wanted to restructure our society and our culture like China. Like they want to control us like China controls their population. And it seems like that is the direction that we're all headed in, whether we like it or not. And this war with Iran has only seemed to fast track that into our reality. Sucks.
Trump, who's doing some corrupt stuff, and the right won't call it out, but the left is. Like, maybe if it just gets so egregious, we get to the point where it's burned down, and now, like, the only thing that can rise from that, heap of ashes is some sort of honest phoenix. I don't know. I'm always optimistic when it comes to America. I just feel like we won't continue settling for this level of dishonesty and awfulness. Like we can't look what we came from. Look how we were founded. Look what we're about to celebrate as we hit 250. Like it should be a good reminder, not with Milli Vanilli playing in the White House, wherever they're going. It's not even a real band. How did they get booked? They never really sing. But with like our own celebrations where we reread that declaration and we remind ourselves what a tyrannical government looks like and how we wouldn't stand for it then. We're not going to stand for it now. We're they say we get the leaders we need. Well, let's actually do that. Let's actually do that next time around. I don't know, Shawn. I just feel like I don't believe these are end times. I believe we're in a crisis. It's not going well, but that it's solvable. It's savable.
What happened to Doge?
They promised $2 trillion in cuts and they got $200 billion and then went away because Elon got tired of politics and everybody hating him. That's a tough machine to fight too. In the same way Trump said he was going to fight big agra and big, pharma and didn't really. Tried dealing with big government and eliminating all those government jobs. Now, we did eliminate some amount of government jobs, but we didn't really, okay, so we saved $200 billion. Okay, great. But
all right, guys, that's about that for the episode. Hold on, let me go. I pulled up Charlie Kirk clips. Hold on. Let me get to here.
College kids who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself. Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a
So
registered
I
voter.
vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Then a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
Actually, when I first saw this ad, I thought it was like an improv comedy thing. It looked so ridiculous that I didn't even think it was real.
Okay.
Well, no, you can see. Look how popular Trump is on your campus. How does that make you feel? That's not comedy. That is a 5-alarm fire for Kamala Harris because she's probably going to lose Pennsylvania.
Look.
But no, I just want to be clear. Is there something wrong with talking to voters?
No, there's nothing wrong with talking.
Well, that's
to
what we're
voters.
doing here today. It's an open
I
mic.
think that you push a dangerous agenda.
Such as?
Your stance on abortion rights, for example.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so
Let me ask a question. What is your name?
Jean.
Jean. And what is your understanding of the current Republican Party's stance on federal intervention in abortion?
Well, I know that they want to bring it back to the states, right?
So it sounds like you do know that the Republican Party's current stance on abortion is they're against a federal ban on abortion.
I do
And
understand
we're talking about
that,
a
yes.
presidential election as the
Yes.
important election that we're talking about here.
I understand that, yes.
Great. So again, I think this open dialogue is great. I think it's great you're here challenging Charlie, and I think it's great that he's willing to travel campuses across this country to talk to the next generation. We need more conversation. Now, where's the disagreement, though, on content? Because you could criticize style or why you're talking to people or dunk on someone personally, but where do you actually disagree with
I
the
agree
substance?
with the way that you edit content
You just
and
edit it.
specifically frame it so that people look bad talking to you.
Nobody.
The way that you edit your content.
we post unedited content.
Yep.
Let me just ask you one thing though, because personal insults can fly in all directions. Where is an area where you have a disagreement with the conservative movement, with Donald Trump, with Charlie Kirk, perhaps with myself? I was a presidential candidate last year. I think we need to talk about that more in the open, and the more we do, the stronger our country is going to be. We got a long line of people, but I want to hear from you one substantive area where you have an authentic disagreement, and I'd be glad to address it. I'm sure Charlie would too.
Yep.
Just in
anything,
any political
relating to any political topic where you have a disagreement. Let's air it.
Okay. I disagree with some of the laws that are being pushed in Congress that are against the LGBTQ community and the trans community.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I'm going to give you my view, and then I want to hear yours.
Okay.
My view is that if you're a fully grown adult,
I agree with him, but I wanted to hear Charlie. Come on. Here we go.
When you accept 5% of any country's population, in addition to all the other mass migration we have, it's too much, it's unsustainable, and a government must start from this core premise. It must have an obligation to fulfill a better life for its own citizens before open.
Do you guys think this guy back here is, so anyone in the back here works for Turning Point, is a known, as Brian Harpole would say. I think that's one of their pilots. And I think that they stayed with them maybe, or it was near. That's my assumption, because they're back behind the known area and he's a pilot.
Its border to non-citizens. It's a very, very basic, fundamental thing. And as I said earlier, everybody in this audience is seeing their future worse off than their parents for the first time since George Washington. That's a big deal. Usually, at least kids are as good, if not better, than their parents, and we have that broken. As far as Donald Trump goes, there are three things I want you to think about when voting for Trump. Number one, home ownership. I imagine you want to own a home sometime in your life, right?
Yeah. I'm bummed that we all were, fed a bad bill of goods on this administration. Oh man. Yeah. Well, you guys, if you haven't done so already, please do me a favor and hit the like and the subscribe. It's the best way to support and help this channel, and I could really use it, and I appreciate it. Let's see. Did I get to all of the supers tonight? I did. If you guys have any more that you want to get in before I sign out, what are you saying about Black Scout Survival? Did he just do a new episode? Let's see. I like Black Scout Survival. I watch his stuff. Did he do one today that just came out? Yeah, I agree. I don't like Vivek. I'll watch Black Scout. Oh, is that what you're saying? You didn't want to hear Vivek? Yeah. I don't know. I haven't pre-watched an episode from Black Scout today, but I like him a lot. All right, guys. If nobody has anything else for tonight, thank you guys. Yeah, I agree too. I'd love to talk with him someday. He's legit. Black Scout's awesome. What do we got? Real Marie Blonde. Oh, thank you, Marie. That's really thoughtful. Did it not let you type something? Or are you just supporting? I appreciate it. Sometimes it doesn't let people type. I don't know why. It did that one time when I was trying to give Jay, a super chat. And every time I typed something in, it like didn't allow me to type it in. Collab. Yeah, I'd love to. It didn't let you type it in. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it does that. I don't know why. It's weird. But yeah, Dulcinea, I'd love to do a collab with Black Scout. I don't know that he does collabs, though. I've never seen him do a collab. He does his own thing, and that's totally cool. And I actually respect that a lot. So many. But let's see. If you guys are getting some more supers in, I want to give you time to do that. Sometimes I see I log out too quickly, and then it pops up after I've already ended, and I don't want to do that to any of you. Here's another way that you can help support or donate to the channel. You can donate and support the channel here at Blackline Brief at Venmo. You just click screenshot the QR code. Just make sure to write like a note or like a memo. It lets you do it to what you would like your support or donation to go to, or you can do it here at buymeacoffee.com/the Blackline Brief. And like I said, just make sure you give a note or memo, write out what you would like your support or donation to go to. All right. I think that would be a great collab, Renita. I agree. Let me see. Did he do something today? Today, 6 hours ago, the end game. Yeah. Did he do a live today? No, 4 weeks ago was his last live. This just changed everything. End game. Do you guys want me to hit play on that? Do you guys want to see it before we sign out? I've never seen him without a hat. He looks so different. Holy smokes. I've never seen him without a hat. Do you guys want me to hit play on the video of Black Scout? It's only a couple minutes long.
What if I told you NATO was never the final destination? What if I told you that everything we've watched over the last 20 years, every war, every aid package, every military agreement, every intelligence sharing arrangement was leading towards something much bigger than the public realizes? Now, before people start foaming at the mouth in the comments, let's establish something right now. This is an opinion show. This is an analysis. This is pattern recognition. I've made that well aware to you guys for years now. Okay. This is me looking at the pieces on the board and asking where the game appears to be headed. Because buried deep inside of the National Defense Authorization Act is language most Americans have never heard about. Language involving expanded defense technology cooperation between the U.S. and Israel. You're talking artificial intelligence, cyber warfare, quantum computing. What the hell is that? Autonomous systems, missile defense, joint development, joint production. And maybe that's nothing. Maybe it's just another agreement. Maybe it's just another alliance doing alliance things, but I don't think that's the most.
I love what he's saying. I also love his shirt, "Death Before Dishonor." That's a slogan within the military for sure.
Most interesting question. The most interesting question is, why does every road in Washington seem to lead to the same direction?
Yeah, Philly.
Republicans, Democrats, different administrations, different slogans, different campaigns, different.
What was that, Renita? Let me we got Massey and MTG are working on some independent to run together as independents. That would be good. That would be good. I'd vote for that.
Promises different personalities, yet somehow the trajectory never changes. The face never changes.
Nope.
And the machine keeps moving. Towards one place, our chosen ally. And if you don't think that's strange, you ain't paying attention, because while Americans are arguing over culture wars and celebrity nonsense, the architecture of the future is being built right now in front of us. And almost nobody's talking about it. Now, let's stop pretending this is normal foreign policy discussion, because the second someone brings up Israel, everybody loses their mind. One side wants to scream that Israel controls everything. The other side wants to pretend there's absolutely nothing unusual happening whatsoever. And I think somewhat both positions miss the point. The real question isn't whether Israel has the influence. Every country seeks influence. The real question is why support for Israel appears to be the one of the few issues capable of producing.
I didn't see. Hold on. I don't know how far back it is, the comment that I wanted to address real quick. If I could find it. Man, I don't know how far back it's going to be. I don't even know if the person is still here. Yeah, so hey Duke, yeah, they do. They're not ban me, but so like if you were to go look at videos that I did where I straight up name them and even put them in the title or in the thumbnail, yeah, they completely do something different when you do say it. And even there was a period where I was like, I'm so tired of this. Like, I'm not going to like, change my speech. And I did it for like 2 episodes and it totally affected it. And if I were big, like some of the bigger podcasts, no, it wouldn't matter. People would notice if when some of these big podcasts say and do things, if they were targeted or limited the reach or whatever by YouTube. But when smaller channels do it, they can totally affect the outcome without anyone really taking notice. But when I look at my analytics and I look at my different videos, and like nothing really different other than me saying certain words or putting a name or a flag or someone in the title, and seemingly it just does totally worse. It does seem to make a difference. And so I think it's stupid, and I agree. I wish I didn't have to do that, but on this one you do. So, but thank you for an awesome show tonight. I always love your passion and the BLB community. Thank you, Real Marie Blonde. I appreciate that. I guess I'll just read this. It was a comment, but I can't find it in there. I want to keep watching you because I think you really put your heart into this, but I don't like it when it sounds like you're cutting her down. I think we're talking about, this person was talking about Megyn Kelly. Puts you in the same Gary camp of talking down to women. Look, I wasn't talking down to Megyn. She's a political public figure who is pretty influential and has a big platform that a lot of people follow. And I should be allowed, whether it's a woman or a man, to criticize or to critique or give constructive criticism or just give my judgment. I've never attacked a female. I would never do that. I didn't say anything derogatory or demeaning or anything like that about her as a woman. I simply was addressing her views, her positions, her points, how she seems to say one thing and then another thing. And I would say the same thing about a dude that's doing it. It has nothing to do about her being a woman. And I've never said anything like that about anyone as a woman. And I would never do that. So hopefully you didn't stop watching, because I simply am critical of Megyn's positions on certain things. Yeah, I mean, that's all it was. So. Man, some people are really coming out of the woodworks here. I don't know how you could consider Megyn to still be a Zionist with her position. I mean, she could be a closet Zionist, and is what? So you're saying like her position on Philly is just like what, like a grift or like an act she's putting on. She's pretty anti-Zionist, but I mean, other positions she takes seems to be pretty pro. And that, I mean, that's the hypocrisy and the double speak that she was doing that I was being critical of. You know, I'm pretty honest with everything I'm saying. It's like, I agree with like one of the things she's saying, but a lot of these other things I don't agree with at all. And it's hard for me to understand what she is or who she really is. And that's just me being honest about that. So I don't know. Delaney Trail. Are you saying you can't believe that the text that I read, someone said that? Or are you talking about something else, Delaney? Yeah, I get all sorts of, yeah, I get all sorts of different critiques about different things. I mean, I don't know. If you've watched me in depth, like not just portions of one video, like you would get a better picture of who I am and what I stand for and the type of man I am. And I don't talk down, and I'm not derogatory or demeaning to women. You know, I was raised by a woman. I have two female daughters, and my wife, like I, you know, respect and honor women. I'm a Christian. Yeah, like, but I'm allowed to have opposing beliefs and positions if someone's a political public figure and they happen to be a woman, but I disagree with her. I should be allowed to say that in all honesty with respect, which I did. I didn't put her down in any way. So I don't know. Let's see. There was another one I wanted to. Yeah, she does ride the fence. I agree, Missy. She does seem to ride the fence. And I said that, right? She seems to be a fence sitter, you know? And here's someone saying that, like, yeah, I was held back from some of MU, I don't know what that means, earlier comments because I used the I word. Yeah. The word that I use instead of Philly. Yeah. Or that I used Philly instead of that word. Yeah, I agree. So, all right. If you got to go to sleep, I'm signing off now anyways. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like, people that are Catholic are actually cannot be or aren't Zionists, right? They completely don't blend. In fact, like they're in complete opposition with one another. So I think, yeah, she will have to bend eventually one direction or the other, or yeah, to her Catholic faith or to that one. But I think she's already chosen. She's not going to bend the knee to Philly, in my opinion. So yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much. Oh, thank you, a real Marie Blonde. You are a very honorable man, Matt. We respect your opinion and appreciate your honesty. Thank you, Marie. I appreciate that. Yeah, haters are going to hate no matter what. I'm never going to be able to please everyone, and that's not my goal. That's not why I do this. But if someone has an honest critique of me that like they're saying in good faith, like I'd want to address it. So that's that. Thank you, Dulcinea, as well. Oh, wait. Here we go. Thank you. Everyone have a blessed weekend. God bless you guys tonight. Have a blessed night. Thank you guys for your support. God bless. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.